Chapter 82 Banquet. Seriously. Until the very moment I entered the dungeon safely after returning from death, I was in shock. I never expected that Hero Eligen would be killed by the Holy Knight Canaria. I couldn't have foreseen such an event. Even so, this method should not be wrong. I don't believe that relying on Hero Eligen is the wrong way. This time it failed, but if we repeat it several times, eventually, there should be a future where Hero Eligen wins. So, let's try the same method one more time. I then acted as if retracing the previous timeline. No. In front of me, there was the figure of the insane Hero Eligen. After a while, Hero Eligen was killed by the hands of the Holy Knight Canaria. It didn't work this time either. With that conclusion, I cut my own throat with a sword. After searching for a method to rely on Hero Eligen, this was the third attempt. Somehow, I struggled to make the word, Luna Village, which is the cause of Hero Eligen's madness, come out of the mouth of the Holy Knight Canaria. Hey, don't get in the way. Due to being subdued by the warrior Gorgono, I couldn't do anything. In the end, once again, Hero Eligen went insane and was killed. It didn't work this time either. The fourth attempt. I decided to inform Hero Eligen in advance that the Holy Knight Canaria hails from Luna Village. I speculated that if I let him know beforehand, the shock when he finds out might be less. So, after telling Hero Eligen that the Holy Knight Canaria and the warrior Gorgono were traitors in the dungeon, I also mentioned Luna Village. Kiska-kun, if you say more than that, I'll get angry. The moment I brought up Luna Village, Hero Eligen visibly wore an unhappy expression. But please don't forget. Holy Knight Canaria is from Luna Village, and that's why she holds a grudge against you, Hero. Shut up. Thud, I was hit in the abdomen with full force. I groaned in pain but continued to watch Hero Eligen. Listen, if you say the same thing again, I won't be so forgiving next time. After that, Hero Eligen became cold toward me. In the previous timelines, I had been granted permission to enter the room and stand guard when he went to sleep, but this time, he refused even to let me inside the room. It seemed that, for Hero Eligen, the word, Luna Village, was a taboo. As a result, just like before, Hero Eligen was killed by the Holy Knight Canaria. The fifth attempt, still unsuccessful. The sixth attempt, still unsuccessful. The eighth attempt, still unsuccessful. The ninth attempt, still unsuccessful. The 10th attempt, still unsuccessful. Ellipsis. The 30th attempt, once again, it was unsuccessful. The 31st attempt. If it doesn't work this time, let's give up, I thought as I returned from death, walking through the dungeon once more. No matter how many times I tried, Hero Eligen was killed by the hands of the Holy Knight Canaria. If it doesn't work this time, let's think of and try a different approach. With that decision, I headed back to where Hero Eligen was. From that point on, the timeline remained unchanged. I informed Hero Eligen that the Holy Knight Canaria and the warrior Gorgono were traitors. I don't entirely trust you, but I will respect your words about risking your life, a phrase I had heard many times. Thank you, I replied, bowing my head. Afterward, we used the mage Nio's teleportation magic to return from the dungeon. Then, a celebration was held in Katarov village, much like the victorious celebrations I had experienced many times before. Hey, Kiska, are you having fun? Hero Eligen asked me at the banquet. From there, I engaged in casual conversation. With Hero Eligen, I didn't mention Luna Village at all. Bringing up Luna Village would likely enrage him. Kiska, you still seem a bit down, Hero Eligen suddenly said during the banquet. A bit down, indeed, repeating the same events many times might have caused me to become somewhat neurotic. Maybe I've had a bit too much to drink. Well, maybe you should take a break then. I'm sorry, I'll do that. You don't have to worry about it. With Hero Eligen's kindness, I stood up to find a place to rest. If I continued to participate in the banquet, I would likely be approached by the warrior Gorgono, and honestly, that prospect was disheartening. Why did I have to converse with enemies I would soon be fighting to the death? So, I decided to rest in a place where no one would find me. After all, the fight wouldn't start until nightfall, so there shouldn't be any problems passing the time until then. I should be safe here, I think, I said to myself as I reached a secluded alleyway away from the banquet. Here, no one should find me. Thinking this, I settled down on the ground. Hey, why are you sitting next to me like this? Huh. I looked in the direction of the voice, and there was Niao, an elfin mage, sitting on the ground. She was so small that I hadn't noticed her until now. No, it's just that you happened to sit next to where I was sitting. No, that's not it. You specifically chose to sit next to where Niao was sitting. I didn't notice you because you're so small. Small. You just called Niao small. Phewie tilde. It seemed like it might get noisy, so I grabbed Niao's mouth to prevent her from speaking. She seemed like she wanted to say something, but after holding her for a while, she eventually gave up and became quiet. Finally, it's quiet, I said as I released my grip. Because my mouth was covered, I thought I couldn't breathe and would die, Niao replied. Don't lie. You could still breathe through your nose. We had this conversation as I leaned against the wall, wanting the banquet to end soon. Why did you come here? The banquet is still going on, Niao asked. I just got tired of talking to people. That's why I came here. I see. But why are you here? Looking back, I had never seen Niao at the banquet in previous timelines, so I was surprised she was hiding here. I'm not good at those kinds of gatherings. Why is that? Everyone's drinking, right? I want to drink too. No, it's not good for children to drink. Ah, that's exactly why I don't like it. People always treat me like a child. As Niao said this, tears welled up in her eyes. She probably didn't realize that she's treated like a child precisely because of such reactions. Sorry about that. Here, try this, I said, feeling a bit annoyed by the tears, as I offered her a glass of alcohol from the jug I had brought for myself. Niao then took the glass and took a sip of the alcohol. This tastes awful, she gave her brief opinion. I thought to myself that she still seemed like a child, but I didn't say it out loud, as I wanted to be kind. Why are you laughing at Niao? Niao accused me. I realized that I had been laughing. It felt like it had been a very long time since I had laughed like that. Chapter 83 changed. Sorry about that. Come on, cheer up, I said after laughing for a while, trying to calm down the sulky Niao. It's not like I'm angry, she said, but her cheeks were noticeably puffed out. She was clearly angry, though if she wanted to deny it, that was fine. Nevertheless, even though I had repeated many timelines, it seemed like the first time I had a conversation like this with the mage Niao. Since it was a rare opportunity, I thought it might be a good idea to learn more about her. While the Holy Knight Canaria and the warrior Gorgono turned out to be traitors, I wondered about Niao. Although there was no evidence that she was a traitor, she didn't seem like one. If she were a traitor, her somewhat foolish personality would likely expose her quickly. So, maybe it wouldn't hurt to offer her cooperation. Hey, Niao, do you have any idea about the Luna Village? I decided to ask her about Luna Village, which the Holy Knight Canaria had mentioned, before getting to the main topic. Luna Village. Oh, I've heard of it. It used to be a village that was purged for allegedly collaborating with the demons, Niao replied. I see, that explains it. Perhaps the first prince, Hero Eligen, had some involvement in the purging of Luna Village. That's why the Holy Knight Canaria resents the hero. It seems like the Holy Knight Canaria is from that Luna Village, I explained. I remember her being of noble birth, Niao responded. Well, I don't know all the details, but it seems Canaria is a bastard born from an affair and was sent to Luna Village when she was young, I continued. I see, is that so? Niao tilted her head in confusion. Because of that, it seems the Holy Knight Canaria has a strong grudge against Hero Eligen, I added. Really? Is that so? The elf Niao seemed puzzled. Well, if you only observe the usual Holy Knight Canaria, you wouldn't expect her to hold a grudge against Hero Eligen. It appears that Hero Eligen had some involvement in the purging of Luna Village, I explained. So, does that mean, for the Holy Knight Canaria, it's like Hiro-sama killed her parents? Niao quickly grasped the situation. She catches on quickly, which is helpful. Being a mage certainly has its advantages. So, tonight, the Holy Knight Canaria is planning to kill Hero Eligen. By the way, the warrior Gorgono is also involved in this plan. Now, I wonder how Niao will react. If she's not a traitor, maybe she'll show a willingness to cooperate. What are you talking about? Niao frowned. Canaria-sama betraying Hiro-sama. That can't possibly happen, she said, almost scoffing at the idea. She even laughed at my suggestion. Well, it seems like I won't be able to gain her trust after all. I had anticipated this outcome, but it's still a bit disappointing. Naya, why are you pinching Nao's cheeks? Because I got annoyed. Leaving that aside, I decided to pinch her cheeks. I was a fool to have expected anything from Niao. Midnight had arrived, and just like in the previous timelines, the battle was about to happen. I was determined not to let Hero Eligen die this time, no matter how many times I had failed before. Honestly, I didn't have much hope for success this time either. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't imagine a future where Hero Eligen survived. With this kind of mindset, it was likely to fail again. All right, let's do this. To overcome my negative emotions, I gave my cheeks a good slap. If this attempt failed, I had decided to give up. If it didn't work, I would search for a completely different approach. Since this would be the last time I tried this method, I was determined to give it my all. With that resolution in mind, I headed to Hero Eligen's room. It was getting close. Hero Eligen was sleeping in his bed, with the Holy Knight Canaria as Hero Eligen's guard. Soon, the warrior Gorgono would enter the room, and that would be the signal for the battle to begin. Hey, are you doing okay? Gorgono quietly broke the door and entered the room, addressing me. I'm feeling terrible. Yeah, I see. Hey, sorry, but can you step outside the room for a moment? No, I won't. After I leave the room, you're planning to kill Hiro-sama. Aren't you? Oh, I see, so our plan has been exposed. Well, that's fine. In that case, let's go head on, Canaria. In an instant, the Holy Knight Canaria opened her eyes and lunged at Hero Eligen. At the same time, Gorgono came at me with his sword. It had been proven in previous timelines that Hero Eligen wouldn't be killed by a sudden attack from the Holy Knight Canaria. Now, I just needed to find a way to prevent her from uttering the word, Luna Village. Hey, aren't you looking away too much? I'm the one who's going to deal with you. Saying that, Warrior Gorgono blocked my path. Damn it, I need to silence the Holy Knight Canaria at all costs, but it never works because of this guy. If only there was some way to break through. I'm a survivor from Luna Village, came the voice of the Holy Knight Canaria. Oh, it's over. Hero Eligen will go mad and get killed. This attempt is a failure once again. What are you doing? It was a completely unexpected turn of events. Niao stood before the door, holding a staff. She had wide-eyed amazement as she observed the commotion in the room. Niao, protect the hero. Why yes. Niao replied and began chanting a spell. The sudden entrance of Mage Niao had significantly altered the course of events. Perhaps, in this timeline, we might be able to save the hero from death. Geez, what an annoying person showed up, Gorgono muttered as he looked at Mage Niao. At the same time, he used the parasitic scythe puppeteer. Less than resilient 3 Jada Z Dahaka greater than. Suddenly, the parasitic scythe puppeteer transformed into a grotesque creature with 3 heads. Oh, I see. Warrior Gorgono had been holding back when dealing with me all along. If Warrior Gorgono got his hands on me, it was probably child's play for him to finish me off. Darn it. Maybe, just maybe, I thought we would succeed this time. But it was another failure. A crunching sound reached my ears as the less than resilient 3 Jada Z Dahaka greater than latched onto my neck. Before long, my consciousness faded away. Ah, I opened my eyes. It was a sensation I had experienced many times before. It seemed like I had returned from death once again, starting from scratch all over again. With that thought in mind, I began to sit up. Wait, please don't move yet. Your wounds haven't completely healed. What lay before me was an unfamiliar sight. For some reason, I was lying in the middle of a forest, and nearby, the Mage Niao was crouched down. What's going on? What's going on? Well, you fainted, and I brought you here. You should be grateful to Niao. If it weren't for Niao, you'd be dead right now. Listening to Nio's explanation, I touched my own neck with my hand. I remembered being bitten by the less than resilient three-jawed Azidahaka greater than right here. Oh, the wound is still there. Ah, please don't touch it. I'm in the middle of healing it now. From what I could see, Niao seemed to be using healing magic on me. Finally, I began to understand the current situation. It seemed like I had somehow managed to survive. Chapter 84. After returning alive. Niao, can you tell me what happened? I don't mind, but... Mage Niao hesitated to speak, as if there were something difficult to say. Well, I can make a good guess about what happened. Was the hero killed? Yes, he was killed. I'm truly sorry. It's all because of Nio's lack of power. Even with Nio's help, it seemed impossible to avoid the death of Hero Eligen. So, did the demon Lord Zoga resurrect? How did you know? Niao was astonished when I guessed the resurrection of the demon lord. I'm good at making predictions about the future. I see. By the way, you already knew that Canaria and Gorgono were traitors, right? It seemed that Niao was already aware that they had allied with the demon lord. Do you, by any chance, also know what will happen after this? Even if you ask me that. Honestly, I'm not very familiar with what will happen after the demon lord's resurrection. But there's one thing I can say. If we leave the demon lord unchecked, the world will be destroyed. Is that so? Niao nodded and then stood up, saying, I've decided. Even if the hero is gone, I will use my power to defeat the demon lord. With a determined expression, Niao made this declaration. Upon seeing her, I couldn't help but admire her. Despite the seemingly hopeless situation, she hadn't given up. With Hero Eligen killed and Demon Lord Zoga resurrected, the thought of giving up and returning to my previous state crossed my mind. But perhaps she could be the one to overcome this situation. Can I help too? Unconsciously, I blurted out. Of course. The more forces we have, the better. And so, it was decided that Niao and I would take action together to defeat the Demon Lord. This is terrible. For now, Niao and I returned to Katarov village. However, the situation in the village was dire. Many houses had collapsed, and injured or deceased individuals were scattered throughout. After the demon lord's resurrection, a horde of dragons attacked the village. A horde of dragons. To be honest, I don't understand. Dragons have never obeyed the demon lord before, so it's strange that they suddenly follow his commands. It's perplexing. I see. It was indeed mysterious. Dragons were known as proud creatures, and it was generally believed they wouldn't submit to anyone's command. So, Niao, why did you bother returning to the village? I wanted to acquire horses and, if possible, I thought it would be nice to meet up with Noct-san. Noct. Oh, that man with the hood. Is he a trustworthy person? I think he should be, but, in any case, he's a formidable individual, so I'd be very happy if he decided to join us. With that said, we split up to search for Noct, the hooded man. However, we couldn't find any eyewitness accounts of Noct despite asking around. In the end, we gave up on finding him. Instead, we managed to purchase 2 horses. With these horses, our mobility improved significantly. So, Niao, what's the plan from here? Well, I'm thinking of looking for allies who will fight alongside us. Even without the hero, there are many strong individuals out there. Especially those known as the Masters. The Masters, huh, I remember it's a rank only the top 10 can achieve. Yes, that's right. I recall Hero Eligen was also a Master. Hero Eligen was ranked 7th. The Demon Lord Zoga is ranked 5th. If the Demon Lord is ranked 5th, that means there are 4 individuals in this world stronger than the Demon Lord. In that case, couldn't the person in the first rank easily defeat the Demon Lord? It's not that simple. We don't even have confirmation of the existence of anyone ranked 1st to 3 road. And as for the 4th rank, they're certainly not our allies. I see. However, at least the 9th and 10th ranks are on our side. So there are 9th and 10th rank individuals. They seem to be very reliable. What are the 9th and 10th rank individuals like? The 9th rank is known as the Grand Sage, a remarkable magic user. The 10th rank is the Supreme Swordmaster, the strongest sword wielder. Both of them sound extremely reliable. With allies like that, maybe we don't need to rely on the hero's power to defeat the Demon Lord. Where are these individuals located? The Supreme Swordmaster should be in the capital city. So, I'm planning to head to the capital right now. The capital city, huh? Maybe it's too late to go there now. No, I shouldn't bring that up for now. During our journey, I asked Niao for more details about the Supreme Swordmaster. His name is Nadorg, and he is known for his significant role in the Battle of Ariane, which inflicted a severe defeat on the Demon Lord's forces. However, due to a severe injury during the battle, he did not accompany the party pursuing the retreating Demon Lord and returned to the capital for treatment. Seeking him, we arrived in the capital, only to be met with a shocking sight. Well, at least I knew this future. Yes, the capital had already been devastated by the attack of the Demon Lord and the Dragon Horde. It appeared to be after the raid, and there was no sign of the Demon Lord or the dragons. What is this? Niao was in shock, as anyone would lose their composure when faced with such a scene. I think we should look for survivors and help them, but what do you think, Niao? Why yes, I guess we should look for survivors. After that, we diligently searched for any surviving individuals. However, we couldn't find a single person. Yes, a whole city had fallen, unceremoniously. It's Niao's fault. Out of nowhere, she uttered those words. If only I had been able to protect the hero at that time, if I had been able to stop those two, this wouldn't have happened, that's why it's my fault. Niao began to self-reflect, her expression filled with deep regret. Hey, are you okay? I became concerned and spoke to her. It's Niao's fault, it's Niao's fault, it's Niao's fault. Afterward, Niao started muttering the same words as if she had broken down. Hey, snap out of it. Realizing the urgency of the situation, I grabbed Niao's shoulder firmly. When she lifted her face toward me, she suddenly retched. I flinched and shuddered at the sight. I felt sorry for thinking it was disgusting. I knew it was highly disrespectful to have such thoughts about a young girl, but I couldn't help my true feelings. So, feeling dirty, I released my grip on Niao. She collapsed to the ground instantly, and for a moment, I thought she might have died. However, it turned out she had merely passed out due to the overwhelming shock. Chapter 85 Determination. Nya. Suddenly, the magician Niao, lying on the bed, opened her eyes with a feeble voice. You've finally awakened. Ah, where am I? What is this place? This is an inn in the capital city. The second floor was collapsed, but the ground floor was intact, so I took the liberty of using it. You carried me all the way here, didn't you? Thank you. Yes, after Niao lost consciousness, there was no way I could just leave her, so I searched for a place where she could rest and brought her here. Also, I thought you might be hungry, so I procured some food. Would you like to eat? I would appreciate that. And if there's some water, I'd be grateful. Ah, I should be able to prepare that quickly since there should be a well nearby. After giving her some water, Niao and I had a meal together. It was a modest meal sourced from what was left in the attacked building. Hey, Niao, what do you plan to do from here? While eating, I asked that question. Well, Niao nodded, her expression somewhat heavy. I think we should start by looking for the Supreme Sword Master who is in this capital city. There's a worst-case scenario that he might be dead, but there's also a good chance he's still alive. So, first, we should search for the Supreme Sword Master and plan our next move after reuniting with him. I thought so and said it, but Niao remained silent without saying a word. I wondered what was wrong and observed Niao for a while. Then, she opened her mouth and said one thing. I'm sorry. After that, she began speaking earnestly. Before coming to the capital city, I was so determined to defeat the Demon Lord. I feel really sorry for this, but, no matter how hard I try, I think it's difficult to turn the current situation around. I think it's already impossible for me. So, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. But if we can join forces with the Supreme Sword Master, there's still a chance to defeat the Demon Lord. I believe the Supreme Sword Master is most likely dead. Why do you say that? As I asked, Niao extended her index finger and displayed the status screen. It's because Niao has been promoted to rank 10 of the Master. Indeed, on the status screen Niao showed, the words, Master, and the number, 10, were visible. Originally, Niao's rank was under the Diamond rank, which was below the Master's rank. The master's rank is a special rank that only the top 10 can attain. Nio's promotion to the master's rank suggests, in other words, that one of the top 10 great swordsman's positions has become vacant. That's the reason for thinking that the originally ranked 10th Supreme Sword Master might be dead. Maybe, the Supreme Sword Master may not be dead yet. Besides, there's also the Grand Sage, right? Just because Niao became a master doesn't mean we can definitively say that the Supreme Sword Master has passed away. There's a possibility that the other masters are no longer around. Moreover, when Hero Eligen died, a master's seat might have opened up, which could have led to Nio's promotion to master. So, I tried to convey this idea, but that might be true. Niao just nodded with a mournful expression. Ah, I see. The reason she has become like this is not solely because she became a master. It was just a triggering event, and the real issue is much deeper. Perhaps her spirit has simply been broken. Of course, it's no wonder. After witnessing the destruction of the city and facing the Demon Lord's forces, there might not be anyone left who can fight with hope in such a situation. In this timeline, it might be impossible after all. If Niao, the sole hope, is in this state, it's probably impossible to defeat the Demon Lord. So, it might be time to give up and reset again. I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing, Kiska-san? If only I were stronger, I might have spared Niao from going through this. And no, please don't apologize. It's all Nio's fault. While saying this, tears welled up in Nio's eyes. No matter how much I denied it and said it wasn't true, it probably wouldn't reach her heart. So, all I could do was stay silent. Kiska-san, I have a request. After searching the capital city in vain to find the Supreme Sword Master Nadorg, we ultimately decided to stay at the inn again. And as we got into bed to rest, Niao spoke up. Kiska-san, I want to sleep while holding your hand. Is that okay? Well, sleeping while holding hands wasn't a big deal, but to do that, we would need to share the same bed. I think it might be difficult to hold hands without sharing the same bed. So, when I mentioned this, Niao just hung her head in silence. It seemed quite pitiful in a way. The Niao I first met wasn't like this. She was lively, confident, and more demanding. But now, she had completely hidden those traits. The current her was just full of melancholy. Come on, over here. I couldn't refuse her request, and I guided Niao to my bed. She was very short, so even when she got into the single bed, it didn't feel cramped. Just hold hands, all right. Thank you. She overlapped her hands with a bashful smile. Looking at Nio's meek appearance, I couldn't help but think she was like a kitten. Cute like a kitten, it stirred my protective instincts. Kiska-san, you're really kind. I don't think that's the case. I had no recollection of being particularly kind to Niao. There's no such thing. Kiska-san, you're kind and very dependable. Is that so? Yes, it is. I said something like that earlier, but I want to try a little harder for the sake of defeating the Demon Lord. I had thought Nio's spirit was completely broken, but she was much stronger than I had imagined. So, I would be happy if Kiska-san doesn't abandon me. If there's anything I can do, I'll help. Thank you. She expressed her gratitude with tears in the corners of her eyes. I hadn't really done anything to deserve thanks, though. When I had thought Nio's spirit was broken, I considered giving up on this timeline and returning to an earlier point in time. But perhaps I could still bet on her a little longer. Nio's power alone might not be enough to save the world. However, I wanted to see how Niao lived her life in this timeline. And by spending time in this timeline, I might be able to find clues related to Agatha. With that determination in my heart, I went to sleep. Chapter 86 Tears. The next day, we departed from the capital city. In the end, we couldn't find the Supreme Sword Master Nadorg. We decided to give up as we thought there was no end to the search, and we headed for our next destination. The next destination was the Ritskin Empire, a neighboring country to the Rastarna Kingdom. The Ritskin Empire had a smaller territory than the Rastarna Kingdom, but its military strength was roughly equal. Furthermore, Niao emphasized that it was a country that put a lot of effort into magical research. And apparently, someone with the title of 9th-ranked Grand Sage was in the Ritskin Empire. We concluded that the Demon Lord's army, likely led by dragons, might be highly likely to attack the Ritskan Empire next. The reason was simple: the largest city near the Rastarna kingdom's capital was the Ritskan Empire. So, we decided to go to the Ritskan Empire ahead of the Demon Lord's army and join forces with the Empire's army to confront the Demon Lord's forces. Having made preparations for the journey, we rode on horses and relentlessly advanced along the road leading to the Ritskan Empire. It seems like this village hasn't been attacked yet. Observing a village we stopped at along the way, Niao commented. It might be a good idea to stay here for the night since it's getting late. Understood. While we were eager to reach the Ritskan Empire quickly, it was getting close to sunset, and further travel would be risky. So, we decided to head to a tavern to have dinner. It's quite noisy in here. The moment we entered, I noticed that the tavern was bustling with activity. Everyone seemed to be engaged in some serious discussions. Maybe we should listen to what they're saying. Yeah, that's a good idea. So, we decided to inquire about the situation from the people nearby. Is something going on? Are you two adventurers? Yeah, that's right. Given that we were equipped with swords and staves, it was natural to assume we were adventurers. In that case, do you know anything about the Demon Lord's army? We know that the Demon Lord's army has captured the capital city. So, it's true after all. As expected, the cause of the commotion was related to the Demon Lord's army. Is it true that the hero has died? Yeah, that's true too. Damn it, if there's no hero, who's going to stop the Demon Lord? A villager said this and slammed their fist on the table. After that, we listened to various stories from the villagers. It seems that there was someone who managed to escape from the capital city, and they spread a story that the Demon Lord's army had captured the city and killed the hero. At first, nobody believed the person's story, but because they told it with such desperation, it gradually started to sound credible. What made it even more convincing was another person who entered the tavern, claiming to have seen the Demon Lord's army advancing. This, along with the testimonies of these two individuals, established that the information about the Demon Lord's army's advance was indeed true. Consequently, the villagers were discussing what to do next. For now, maybe we should talk to the person who escaped from the capital and the one who witnessed the Demon Lord's army's advance. I think that's a good idea. With Niao's agreement, we promptly approached the individuals. Hey, are you the one who escaped from the capital city? Yeah, that's me. The person was dressed as a soldier but was covered in dirt and wounds. This indicated the desperate escape they made from the capital city. We're gathering information about the Demon Lord, and we'd like to hear your story if you're willing. What good will gathering information about the Demon Lord do at this point? To defeat our enemy, we need to start by gathering information, right? After I said that, the soldier began to observe us with a skeptical look. You two seem to have rare equipment. In other words, you're skilled individuals, from the looks of it. Niao may appear to be nothing more than a young girl to an outsider, but by examining her equipment, one could gauge her true abilities. In that case, let's talk about what happened in the capital city. The soldier then began recounting the Demon Lord's army attack on the capital city. However, I had already witnessed the shock of it in a different timeline, so there were no particularly new revelations for me. Do you happen to know anything about the Supreme Sword Master Nadorg? Yeah, that person is probably already dead. I saw it with my own eyes. Lord Nadorg bravely confronting the demons. I see. It seemed highly likely that the Supreme Sword Master Nadorg, who held the master rank, had already perished. Also, have you heard of a girl named Agatha? No, sorry, I haven't heard of her. I see. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I'm the one who's happy if I could be of help to you. Oh, and one more thing. It's not a form of thanks, but would you allow me to heal your injuries? Saying this, Niao used healing magic to treat the soldier's injuries. If you stay still, they should heal. Ah, thank you, miss. After expressing his gratitude, we moved away from the scene. The information we obtained was rather disappointing. It confirmed that the Supreme Sword Master Nadorg's death was almost certain. For now, we decided to try listening to the person who claimed to have seen the Demon Lord's army advancing. Oh, of course, that's fine. When I asked, the villager began talking enthusiastically about the Demon Lord's army. According to what we heard, the person had observed the demon lord's army marching further south on the road, and had hurriedly fled to this village to avoid detection. Incidentally, the demon lord's army was reported to consist of over 1,000 dragons and tens of thousands of demons. Thank you for sharing your story. Yeah, it's not a big deal. There's one more thing I'd like to ask. Have you ever heard of a girl named Agatha? No, I've never heard of her. Sorry, I can't be of help. As expected, this person didn't know anything about Agatha either. After that, we had our meal at the tavern and then headed to the inn. Meow, what should we do about the room? Separate rooms, or, I'd like to share a room. Nio's preference for sharing a room resulted in us sleeping in the same room. It looks like there's only one bed in the room. Observing the room, I made that comment. I should have confirmed the number of beds earlier. We'll have to share the same bed again. Niao said this somewhat shyly. Niao and I had already shared the same bed the previous night, so I didn't have any reservations about it. Instead of that, let's discuss our plans for tomorrow. Why, yes. With that, we sat on the bed and started discussing our plans for the next day. The fact that the demon lord's army was sighted to the south of here suggests that they'll likely pass through the town of Natos before heading to the Ritskan Empire. The town of Natos is one of the towns that make up the Rastarna kingdom and is second in prosperity only to the capital city. The demon lord's army probably intends to attack Natos to secure necessary supplies before heading to Ritskan. At this rate, if we leave in the morning, we should be able to reach Ritskan before the demon lord's army. Considering the large size of the demon lord's army and the likelihood of passing through Natos, it seemed like we would arrive in Ritskan before them. Do we really not need to go and help the people living in Natos? It was only when Niao mentioned it that I realized I hadn't questioned my decision to abandon the residents of Natos. I had simply chosen to let them fend for themselves. While there were reasons for my choice, such as the higher chance of success by heading to Ritskan and the likelihood that helping Natos at this point might be too late, I should have at least considered whether we should go and help the town of Natos. I'm sorry, Niao shouldn't have said that, right? Niao instantly lowered her head and apologized. No, it's just that. I didn't know what to say and found myself at a loss for words. Niao had no need to apologize. If anything, it was my mistake. Sorry, it's my fault. I should have thought more about the people in Natos. You're not at fault, Kiska. No, it's entirely my fault. I believe Niao's feelings are the most important. If Niao wants to help the people of Natos, I support that and will do everything I can. In the upcoming battle against the Demon Lord's army, it would be Niao fighting, not me. I could only assist her to the best of my ability. Therefore, prioritizing Niao's feelings was crucial, and it was my duty to create the most favorable conditions for her. I want to follow Kiska's words. No, that wouldn't make sense. I want to respect Niao's feelings. But there's a reason to go to Ritskan Empire instead of Natos. Yes, that's true. I nodded and began to explain why I thought we should go to Ritskan Empire instead of Natos. There was a strategic reason for it. In Natos, there wasn't a large force, and if we went there, it would likely fall quickly, posing a high risk. It made more sense to go to Ritskan Empire, join Ritskan and their forces, and prepare for a united defense. Additionally, even if we rushed to Natos now, it might already be too late. I understand now. Tomorrow, so, I'm sorry, but I don't want to go to Natos, and Niao thinks she wants to go to Ritskan Empire. After listening to the explanation, Niao seemed to accept it and made her plea. However, behind that expression, I could see a deep sense of sadness. Oh, what have I done? I realized that I had allowed Niao to make the choice to abandon Natos, which caused her great distress. I had done it with the intention of doing what was best for Niao, but it had ultimately resulted in her suffering even more. In hindsight, I should have insisted on going to Ritskan Empire from the beginning. I should have borne the choice of abandoning Natos myself, not leaving it to Niao. I'm sorry, Niao. Feeling apologetic, I couldn't help but say those words. Why are you apologizing, Kiska? As she spoke, tears welled up in Niao's eyes. This is strange. Why are there tears? While saying this, Niao desperately rubbed her eyes, trying to hold back her tears. I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Unconsciously, I found myself tightly embracing Niao, wanting to comfort her in any way I could. From then on, Niao began to cry in my arms. She had a pure and kind heart that was so endearing to me. Chapter 87 Cute. I opened my eyes, feeling the sunlight streaming in through the window. I suddenly sensed something unusual around my chest area. Looking down, I realized that Niao was sleeping on top of me, covering me like a blanket. Yesterday, Niao had cried herself to sleep, so I had placed her on the bed before I went to sleep myself. I had intended to sleep as far away from her as possible at that time, but she must have moved closer to me while we were asleep. It's warm, I thought as I gently stroked her head. Niao's body temperature felt warm, like that of a small animal. So, I pulled her a little closer to me, wanting to feel her warmth a bit more. Right now, I found Niao incredibly endearing. However, I also knew that becoming too attached to her could be dangerous. In this timeline, where the hero was absent, the world was likely destined for destruction. When I reset through a death, I would go back in time to a point before Hero Eligen died, and any relationship I built with Niao would be reset as well. So, if I got too attached to her and then lost her, the shock could be devastating. But, even knowing all that, I had made up my mind to live for Niao in this particular timeline. Good morning, Niao said, suddenly opening her eyes. Good morning. Sorry if I woke you up, I replied. No, it's okay. I was planning to wake up soon. But, what's the situation here? Niao asked hesitantly. I understood her concern. In the bed, I was holding Niao, and it might indeed look like a rather confusing scene. Because you're cute, I said. Because I'm cute, what were you going to do? Niao responded. I was going to reach out my hand, I replied. Nya. Niao screamed and quickly retreated to the corner of the room. I had no intention of actually reaching out to her, but I just wanted to tease her a little. However, she reacted far more strongly than I expected. It hurt my feelings. Hey, Niao, I called out. Are you going to eat Niao? Niao panicked as she quivered in the corner. As I approached her, Niao began to tremble and panic. Seeing her like this, I felt an emotion welling up from deep within me. I wanted to tease her more. This had been true since we first met. For some reason, when I looked at Niao, I couldn't help but want to tease her. It must be what they call sadism. Hey, Niao, I continued. Yes. Didn't you invite me to share the bed first? Well, Niao did say she wanted to share a room with you, but that's because Niao was just feeling a little scared. Don't you know, sharing a bed is pretty much the same as inviting someone, you know. Is that so? Niao stammered, her speech sounding a bit off. Isn't Niao an elf and an adult woman? Yes, Niao is an elf and an adult woman. If you're an adult, experiencing something like this is normal, right? NNYA. With a strange noise, Niao's eyes started to wander. That's right. Niao is an adult. So, Kiska, please enjoy Niao thoroughly. With a determined expression, Niao made her point. It was unexpectedly easy to get her to say that. It made me wonder if she would easily be fooled by other men, and I started feeling a bit anxious. Also, her choice of words, enjoy Niao, was quite unusual. What, are you taking the joke seriously? I asked, laughing and pointing it out. Huh, was it a joke? Yeah, it was. Upon my confirmation, Niao seemed to freeze on the spot and remained motionless for a while. Suddenly, she let out a strange noise, hanyanyanya, and her face turned bright red. It seemed like she had finally realized that she had been fooled. Kiska, you're so mean. So mean. Afterward, I was subjected to Niao's punches for a while. After getting ourselves ready, we headed towards Ritskin Empire by horse as planned. Is it uncomfortable for you? No, it's not a problem. Well, that's good. It turned out that other villagers who had sensed the movements of the Demon Lord's army were also trying to evacuate by using horses, and there was a rush to get horses. We had hoped to secure 2 horses, but in the end, we could only borrow 1. As a result, Niao and I ended up riding together, with me in front and Niao in the back. Hey, Kiska, what is it? Well, about what you said earlier. By what you said earlier, she was probably referring to when I teased her this morning. I already apologized for that earlier, didn't I? No, it's not about that, I was wondering if you were joking when you said I was cute. Ah, I see. She was concerned about that. No, that was my honest opinion. I see. So that means you think I'm cute, right? Yeah, that's right. With that clarification, Niao let out a somewhat creepy laugh. I couldn't see her expression clearly in this writing position, and I could only imagine that she was giving me an unsettling, smug look. Niao didn't like her own appearance very much. Is that so? It was surprising to me. After all, I thought her appearance was cute even by general standards. What could it mean for her not to like it? Yes, that's right. Elves are an immortal race, and they typically stop growing around the age of 20, not changing much after that. However, Niao, unlike other elves, stopped growing with this youthful appearance. I see. So Niao was considered a bit of an anomaly among the elves and couldn't really fit in with the others. Hearing about Niao's past reminded me of my own. I, too, was persecuted in Katarov village because of my silver hair. I'm sorry about that. Why are you apologizing? Because I teased you about being a child. I didn't know you cared so much about your appearance. I'm not really concerned about that. But if you want to apologize, I won't say no. Thank you for saying that. While saying that, we continued to ride the horse. It seemed like it would still take some time to reach the Ritskin Empire. Then, Niao, who was sitting behind me, deliberately shifted her position, moving closer to my back, sitting snugly against me. Thanks to that, her body heat was transmitted to my entire back. Well, her chest was quite modest, so I couldn't really feel the touch on my back that clearly. It's really too bad. I was really happy when you called me cute. Thanks to that, I started to like my appearance just a little bit. I see. I had said, cute, rather casually, but she seemed surprisingly delighted by it, and that was a pleasant surprise. You really are a cute one. Wah, what's with that all of a sudden? I just spoke my mind. It's not that I mind, but I'd appreciate it if you didn't say things like that all of a sudden. Cute, 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 cute. Nya, are you trying to embarrass Niao to death with your compliments? Hey, stop squirming, you'll fall. We kept joking around like this while heading towards the Ritskin Empire. I knew that our time together like this was limited. Once we reached the Ritskin Empire, we would have to face the Demon Lord's army. Chapter 88 Ritskin Empire. Ritskin Empire's capital, Larichmond. Being a fortified city, the city is surrounded by walls. Perhaps due to the news of the Demon Lord's army invasion having reached many, there were many people trying to enter Larichmond. As a result, the guards were meticulously checking the identities of those attempting to enter the city at the city gate. It's almost our turn, isn't it? Yeah, looks like it. We had to wait for quite some time for our turn. What are your names? I'm Kiska. I'm Niao. We answered the guards' questions without hesitation. What's your occupation? We are both adventurers. Can you show me your status screens? Oh, of course, we don't mind. I should have set it up so that only my name and rank would be visible on the status screen. I believe that should be enough. I see, you both seem to be quite capable. The guard looked at my rank, which was platinum if I recall correctly, and made that remark. Could it be that you're here to fight alongside our army against the Demon Lord's forces? Yes, that's why we came. I see, Ritskin Empire welcomes courageous individuals. Let's fight together for the sake of humanity. This guard really has a way with words. Of course, that's our intention. So, I responded accordingly. Here, this is Niao's status. Standing beside me, Niao also showed her status screen. What's with this status? Could it be, are you Lady Sage Niao? Lady Sage Niao, what's that? Well, I've been called that sometimes. Niao replied with an uncomfortable expression. I apologize profusely. I'll go get my superior right away, please wait a moment. Saying that, the guard hurried off in a fluster. It seems we've made quite an impression. Ha ha ha. Niao managed a wry smile. However, thinking rationally, Niao held the highest rank of master and had been cooperating with the hero. It was only natural that she received special treatment. Still, Lady Sage Niao, knowing Niao's true self, it's hard to imagine her as a sage. Lady Sage Niao, I apologize for the wait. Please allow me to guide you immediately. Oh, and your companion is welcome to join us as well. A superior-looking individual arrived in haste. It appeared that we were about to be escorted somewhere. Hey, where are they taking us? Well, actually, we received instructions that once Lady Sage Niao visited our country, we should guide her to our leader right away. So, who is this leader you're talking about? In response to my question, the superior gave this answer. Our nation's most prominent figure, a person holding two titles, Grand Sage and Wise Emperor, Grand Sage Aglupus. Grand Sage Aglupus. Ranked as a master, 9th in the hierarchy. The one person who might stand a chance against the Demon Lord's forces and humanity's last hope. It was the person we had been seeking. Grand Sage Aglupus resided in the Imperial Palace at the center of the capital, Larichmond, and that's where we were guided. Perhaps deciding that making us walk all the way to the Imperial Palace would be inappropriate, we were provided with a luxurious carriage. I'm starting to get nervous. Given the extraordinary level of attention we were receiving, I hadn't expected it, and my stomach began to churn. What should we do, Kiska? Oddly enough, Niao seemed far more nervous than I was. Hey, calm down. But, I'm sure I'm going to get scolded. Is that so? Regarding the fact that I couldn't protect the hero, I'm sure they'll say something. While I believed it wasn't Niao's fault that the hero Eligen had died, how others might perceive it was a different matter. Well, if that happens, I'll try to cover for you. I'm not sure if I'll be able to, though. Kiska, thank you so much. Suddenly, Niao hugged me. Hey, don't hug me out of the blue. Well, it's fine, isn't it? Is Kiska getting embarrassed? Niao playfully said with an upward glance. Her eyes held a mature sensuality that didn't match her appearance. In reality, Niao was older than I was. Well, that didn't change the fact that it was irritating. Naya, why are you pinching my cheeks? Because you irritated me. But even so, it's too much, Kiska. As Niao screamed, she continued to playfully hit me. We've arrived. Suddenly, the coachman looked at us with a puzzled expression. It seemed like we had reached the Imperial Palace where Grand Sage Aglupus resided. But really, having my interaction with Niao observed by someone else was a bit embarrassing. Chapter 89 Grand Sage. Over here, Grand Sage Aglupus is waiting. The person who had guided us to the large door said so while trying to open it. As I glanced at Niao standing next to me, she seemed quite nervous. Behind this door, it appeared that Grand Sage Aglupus was waiting. I wonder what kind of person he is. Welcome, Sage Niao. A raspy voice could be heard. It's been a while, Grand Sage Aglupus. Niao bowed and replied. So this person is Grand Sage Aglupus. Honestly, his appearance was far from what you'd expect from someone with the title of Grand Sage. Unkempt long hair, dark circles under his eyes, disheveled beard, pale cheeks, and he looked terribly emaciated, like a sick person. His attire was also quite plain, in contrast to what you'd expect for someone at the top of the nation. However, the throne he sat on was ornately decorated in glistening gold, creating a peculiar imbalance. You don't need to address me with, Grand Sage. You've been promoted to master as well, right? Then, we're equals. No, Niao is still a junior, so please allow me the honor. Well, fine. Sage Niao, let's talk in private. Follow me to the reception room. Grand Sage Aglupus got up, presumably headed for the reception room. Excuse me. However, Niao called out loudly, stopping him. Grand Sage Aglupus, I have a request. I want him to be present during our discussion, Niao said, pointing at me. Grand Sage Aglupus looked at me with a displeased expression. I hadn't expected to stand out like this, so I felt strangely nervous. Nice to meet you. I'm Kiska, I introduced myself. Sage Niao, who is this person? He's the man who played the most significant role during the recent incident in Katarov village. Can we trust him? He's the person I trust the most. I see. However, I don't quite understand why we should let him attend this discussion. Grand Sage Aglupus had a valid point. Compared to them, I was just an adventurer with little remarkable ability. It wasn't entirely clear why Niao was so insistent on my presence. This is based on Niao's intuition. I believe that Kiska has value in attending this discussion, Niao asserted confidently. I couldn't help but think that she might be overestimating me. I see. Grand Sage Aglupus nodded and then cast a sharp and thorough gaze over me, making me feel quite nervous. I may not understand this man's value, but I will permit him to attend the discussion based on Sage Niao's word. It seemed that I would be allowed to participate in the conversation after all. With that, I'll take my leave. The servant placed cups of drinks on the table in the reception room and then exited the room. Seated across from us was Grand Sage Aglupus, while Sage Niao sat beside me. I don't engage in idle chit-chat, so let's get to the point. The hero is dead, correct? Grand Sage Aglupus began. Yes, Hero Eligen has passed away, Niao responded with a mournful expression. I see. However, that doesn't add up. Why hasn't my rank gone up? Great Sage Aglupus asked while displaying his status screen. There, the word, Master, was written, and it indicated that he was ranked 9th. Indeed, if the 7th-ranked hero Eligen had died, it would be strange if his rank hadn't increased. That's something even Niao can't explain. Well, that's fine. Even if the hero were alive, if he doesn't appear before us, it's as good as dead, Grand Sage Aglupus concluded. Afterward, Grand Sage Aglupus and Sage Niao shared the information they each had. The events in Katarov village, the betrayal of Holy Knight Canaria and warrior Gorgono, resulting in the death of hero Eligen, the fall of the capital city to the Demon Lord's forces, and the imminent advance of the Demon Lord's army toward the capital of the Ritskan Empire, Larichmond. There was a high likelihood of war breaking out between the Ritskan Empire and the Demon Lord's forces tomorrow. Why the dragons decided to aid the Demon Lord's forces was quite mysterious. Normally, dragons are solitary creatures who don't serve under anyone. In fact, during the Battle of Ariane, the Demon Lord didn't lead dragons into battle, Grand Sage Aglupus remarked. I recalled that the Battle of Ariane was a major confrontation between the hero's forces and the Demon Lord's army, resulting in a dramatic victory for the hero's side. So, our scouts found some intriguing information. It seems there's a man in the Demon Lord's army who can command dragons, Grand Sage Aglupus continued. A man who can command dragons, Niao responded. Yes, it's a rather enigmatic figure. Once he raises his voice, countless dragons gather around him. He goes by the name, Dragon King, Grand Sage Aglupus elaborated. A Dragon King, Niao pondered. A man who could control dragons at will. Perhaps the title, Dragon King, was fitting for him. It seems there was a secret pact between this Dragon King and the Demon Lord. If they succeeded in killing the hero, the Dragon King would become a subordinate of the Demon Lord, Grand Sage Aglupus explained. I see, so there was a reason for the Demon Lord to command dragons. Our conversation with Grand Sage Aglupus revolved around how to confront the Demon Lord's forces. Whether or not the Ritskan Empire could be defended depended largely on the efforts of Sage Niao and Grand Sage Aglupus. Nevertheless, losing the hero was a significant setback, Grand Sage Aglupus lamented. It's my fault, I'm sorry, Niao replied, her tone crestfallen. Still, the question remains, is the hero absolutely necessary to defeat the Demon Lord? I interjected, despite staying quiet so far. I intended to change the topic to avoid further probing into Niao's blunder. That's right. The hero possesses the divine protection of the supreme god, Puthos, Grand Sage Aglupus mentioned. That's a well-known legend even I'm familiar with. I've heard that the hero's divine protection guarantees victory in any adversity. We can't be sure if it's true, but the mere existence of a hero is reassuring, Grand Sage Aglupus continued. Ensuring victory in any adversity. It made me wonder if my skill, Save and Reset, was a form of divine protection as well. However, even with Save and Reset, there were still times when I couldn't win, so it seemed somewhat different from the concept of guaranteed victory. There's something I'd like to ask Grand Sage Aglupus about, I interjected. Go ahead, ask your question, he replied. Do you have any knowledge of someone named Agatha? No, I've never heard of it. Is this Agatha a significant figure? Grand Sage Aglupus inquired. Yes, Agatha is a dear comrade of mine, and I've been searching for her, but I have no idea where she is, Niao explained. I see. I hope you find her, Grand Sage Aglupus replied nonchalantly. Even someone as prominent as Grand Sage Aglupus didn't know about Agatha. Where could she be? Urgent news. Suddenly, an unexpected visitor burst into the room. This person had violently thrown the door open and exclaimed in a frantic voice. The Demon Lord's forces have invaded our territory. It seemed that the battle had already begun. Chapter 90 War. Upon hearing the news of the Demon Lord's army advancing, the situation took a sudden turn. The Grand Sage Aglupus muttered, sooner than expected, while leaving the reception room. Together with Niao, I began preparing to confront the Demon Lord's army and left the Imperial Palace. Already, outside, many people were running around in a panicked state. Nevertheless, because they had predicted the Demon Lord's invasion in advance, it seems that the evacuation of civilians and the deployment of soldiers had been to some extent completed. We will protect the esteemed sage Niao with our lives. When Niao took her position, the waiting soldiers expressed this. Niao's placement was on the western edge of the castle walls. Since the Demon Lord's army was approaching from the west, it was the most likely area for intense fighting. Niao was also serving as the commander for this entire area. So, Niao spoke a few words to the soldiers. I know there are many flaws in Niao, but I intend to fight with all my might, so please take care of me. She messed up at a crucial moment. With eyes that seemed to say, what should I do, Kiska? Niao looked in my direction. I had no choice but to follow up. Listen up, all of you. The one here is none other than the master of the strongest title, Sage Niao. With her magic, she can easily bury 100 or 200 dragons. Do you understand? She is the goddess who will bring us victory. So, give it your all and protect her. The soldiers raised their fists and let out a powerful battle cry. All right, we were able to boost their morale sufficiently. Kiska, you're exaggerating a bit. Niao isn't that strong. Niao whispered to me so that those around us couldn't hear. Sometimes, a little exaggeration is necessary, Sage Niao. Niao pouted and gave me a disgruntled look. Kiska, will you protect Niao too? Oh, I'll definitely protect you with my life, I said while patting Niao on the head. Niao will also protect Kiska with all her might. I see, I'm counting on you. The Demon Lord's army advanced in two ways. One was a force consisting of demons marching on the road. The other was using dragons to infiltrate from the sky. On the backs of these dragons, demons were waiting, so once they entered from above, the demons would start their assault along with the dragons. Our task was to shoot down the dragons flying in from above. If we could successfully shoot them down, we could bury the demons riding on the dragon's back. To shoot down the dragons, powerful magic was necessary. That's right, only Sage Niao could bring down the dragons. So, Niao was waiting in the place that would likely become the most intense battleground. I've confirmed the advance of the Demon Lord's army ahead. Someone shouted. When I looked, there were countless shadows flying towards us. They were dragons. Niao, are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. As she replied, Niao began chanting while holding her staff. I command in the name of Niao, the endless plunderer, feeble anger, an arrow made of hearts. Even dust accumulates as dust. 12 words of power, fragile crimson jewel, the primordial light, death is unequal before the gods. The sender of nirvana, the spirit that controls everything. All is a jest. The 4 elements have become my servants. The earth remains unchanged. Truth is absent. Footprints are eternal. The pulsating blood never ends. The circle of revenge is broken. I have but one wish. To thrive like a phoenix, nourished by knowledge. I am the executioner of the bonfire. Now, be dyed in red. Fire magic, 9th tier, Inferno Infinite Annihilation Cannon, destroy it. In an instant, with a massive magic circle, countless red flashes burst. 4th. Those flashes mercilessly pierced the dragons. Roar. The dragons emitted groans and crashed to the ground. Impressive, she took down the dragons so easily. Hey, there are more coming. The soldiers' voices could be heard. The enemy has over 1,000 dragons, and they keep attacking one after another. Fire magic, 9th tier, Inferno Infinite Annihilation Cannon, destroy it. In this manner, Niao continued to vanquish one dragon after another. However, no matter how many she brought down, the next dragon would arrive. Hey, the dragons are entering the city. Even though Niao is the strongest mage, it was impossible for her to shoot down all the dragons by herself. Some dragons managed to evade Niao's attacks and successfully landed inside the city, within the walls. Nevertheless, they couldn't afford to stop. Niao exerted herself to the fullest, using her magic to bring down the dragons as much as possible. Niao, are you okay? Why yes, I'm fine. She answered, but she clearly wasn't fine. She was out of breath, and with every breath, she wore a pained expression. Just standing was making her unsteady on her feet. She had heard that using magic would exhaust her, but it seemed even more grueling than she had imagined. Niao, we need to move. Quote. Without waiting for Niao's response, I picked her up and moved away from that spot. In an instant, a column of flames rose in the place we had just been. It was an attack by the dragons. Thank you. Don't force yourself to talk. Saying that, Niao nodded slightly and began constructing her magic once again. It's frustrating. Even though Niao is going through so much pain, I can't do much to help. I wish I could be a substitute for Niao, but unfortunately, I can't attack the dragons flying in the sky. Inferno Infinite Annihilation Cannon, destroy it. Once again, Niao unleashed her magic. With this, she managed to bring down another dragon. Hey, Niao, isn't it about time you took a break? It had been several hours since the battle began. Niao's condition had been strange for a while now. Her eyes were bloodshot, her hands were trembling, and her breathing had become rough. I'm fine. While saying this, she attempted to activate her magic. Huff. In an instant, she coughed up blood. It was clear that her body had reached its limit. Hey, seriously, you should rest already. Despite this, Niao prevented me from continuing. I'm okay, Niao has to do this. It's all Niao's fault that it came to this, that's why Niao can't afford to stop. When she saw the devastated capital, Niao repeatedly muttered, it's my fault, and blamed herself. She was still carrying the emotions from that time. All right, if I were to prioritize her well-being, I should probably force her to stop. However, I wanted to respect her determination to keep fighting no matter how worn out she became. I'll support you with all my might. So, focus only on using your magic. Thank you, so much. Saying this, Niao glanced at me briefly and expressed her gratitude. Knowing that she didn't even have the luxury to express her gratitude, her actions appeared remarkably noble. I couldn't help but feel incredibly fortunate to stand by her side. From then on, we continued to fight. Niao unleashed magic without a break, and I carried her while maneuvering wildly to evade the dragon's attacks. Both of us were utterly exhausted. Next to us, people were being killed one after another. We didn't even have the luxury to dwell on that. The only motivation we had was to kill as many dragons and demons as possible, and with that determination, we kept moving. Even though we had defeated so many dragons, the battle situation remained unfavorable. No matter how many we defeated, the dragons kept appearing one after another. Roar. We heard a dragon's roar ahead. It was clear they were targeting us. Using the skill, Provocation, I continued to evade their attacks. If I could keep avoiding the attacks, Niao would complete her incantation and defeat the dragons. With that in mind, I kept dodging and dodging. I realized something. I hadn't heard Niao's voice for a while. She had already lost consciousness. She couldn't use magic anymore. Ruer. Suddenly, I noticed that the dragon in front was releasing a breath attack engulfed in flames. Oh, we couldn't avoid it from here. It seemed like this was the end for us. Barrier magic, first tier, barrier este. Suddenly, a massive barrier appeared in front of us. That barrier protected us from the dragon's breath attack. Niao, who should have been able to use magic, was already unconscious. So who had cast this magic? Well done. Thanks to you, we were able to hold on until now. The one who said this was the Grand Sage Aglupus. He also looked quite battered, and it was clear he had been fighting in a different location from us. We can't let Sage Niao die just yet. So, you take her to a safe place. I'll take care of the rest. Understood. I nodded and ran with Niao in my arms toward a safer area. Chapter 91. The night before. Subsequently, thanks to the efforts of the Grand Sage Aglupus and other soldiers, the capital city of Larichmond was successfully defended. As the sun began to set, the Demon Lord's army began to retreat. However, it was not a complete defeat, and they would likely launch another offensive the next day. Niao, are you awake? Niao, yes. Where is this? This is a room in a hotel. It was prepared for Niao by Grand Sage Aglupus. He said it's the best room. Is that so? It certainly is a luxurious room when you mention it. As a reward for contributing to the war, Niao was given the most luxurious room in the country's finest hotel. So, what's the current situation of the war? After Niao had fainted, I filled her in on what had happened. How we had managed to hold on, the retreat of the Demon Lord's army as night fell, and the likelihood of their return the next day. Tomorrow, there's a high possibility they'll invade with an even larger force than today. So tomorrow is likely to be the climax. I see. Niao nodded and fell silent, appearing lost in thought, likely contemplating the war in her own way. For now, how about we eat? You must be hungry. You know, now that you mention it, I do feel a bit hungry. After that, Niao and I had the provided meal together. Have you regained some energy? After eating, I asked Niao. Yes, I feel much better now. I think I can continue to fight tomorrow. I see. Just don't push yourself too hard. I won't. After giving this response, Niao suddenly leaned on my shoulder. Kiska, you've predicted the future before, haven't you? Oh, that thing. Yeah, I've done it once. She's likely referring to my previous prediction about the betrayal of Holy Knight Canaria and Warrior Gorgono. Do you know if we can win this war, Kiska? Well, even I can't know that for sure. While saying that, I already knew it. Based on today's battle, it would be challenging for us to win. We managed to hold on today, but there was a high chance the town could fall tomorrow. And Niao was probably the one who knew that better than anyone. Kiska, there's something I've been curious about. Oh, what is it? Who is Agatha-san? Ah, that. I had been asking around, trying to find out if anyone knew Agatha. It was only natural for Niao, who was sitting next to me, to be concerned about Agatha. Well, you see. Struggling for an answer, I finally spoke up. Explaining Agatha to someone else was quite challenging. Agatha might be the last hope to save humanity. That's why I've been searching for her all this time, but I can't find her anywhere. I see. Were you unsatisfied with that answer? Thinking that my response had been too vague, I asked. And no, it's not that. I just thought that maybe Agatha-san was your girlfriend or something. Haha, I don't have a girlfriend. I chuckled and answered while finding it amusing that someone had misunderstood Agatha as my girlfriend. Oh, I remember now, it was Hero Eligen who had made that mistake. That's surprising. I mean, Kiska is so cool that I thought you might not just have a girlfriend but even be married. What about you, Niao? Me. I couldn't possibly have a boyfriend. I see. Somehow, when I heard that Niao didn't have a boyfriend, I felt happy for some reason. After that, both Niao and I fell silent. We didn't say anything more. It was just a quiet time, and I couldn't help but think, why did the atmosphere turn out like this? Breaking the silence, it was Niao who spoke up. Kiska, I have a favor to ask. As she said this, her cheeks seemed flushed, and her eyes were moist. Well, if, after this battle. Hey, are you okay? I thought she had made a mysterious sound and then she froze. Her forehead was covered in sweat, and it seemed like she was extremely nervous. I understood what Niao was trying to say. I already knew that Niao had feelings for me, and when someone has feelings for someone else, there's usually only one thing they want to say. So I had to say the rest. Hey, Niao, will you marry me? I intended to say it as calmly as possible, but inside, I was nervous to the point where my throat felt hot. I could easily understand what Niao was going to say. It was probably, after the battle, will you marry me? If Niao had said that, I would unquestionably have replied with a yes. So I decided to say it first. After all, I liked Niao. But more than that, I wanted to grant her wishes. She headed into danger tomorrow. Kiska, ah. Suddenly, Niao began to cry out. Hey, don't cry. I'm sorry. But, that. Calm down. I'm here, so take your time and let me hear your answer. With those words, Niao nodded resolutely. And then, I love you. I love you more than anything in the world. So please, take care of me. Seeing Niao say this, my emotions for her exploded. I love you too. As I said that, I held her tightly. The moment I held her, I noticed how light she was. Her body seemed so delicate, as if it might break easily. Even as I wrapped my arms around her, there was some room left. I wanted to feel her body warmth with my entire being, so I held her even tighter. Kiska, it hurts. Even when she said that, I couldn't loosen my grip on her. I wished time could stop right now. Tomorrow, I, and probably Niao as well, would likely die. When I died, time would rewind again. If time rewound, our relationship would probably be reset. Or even if our relationship wasn't reset, we wouldn't be together. After all, I was a person who came from 100 years in the future. Eventually, I had to return to the world 100 years from now. Why is Kiska crying? Well, it was only when she asked that I realized I was crying. I'm crying because I'm so happy. I knew it wasn't entirely the truth, but it was the only answer I could give. I wake up. It's morning. I look to the side, and Niao is peacefully sleeping, softly snoring. Instinctively, I reach out and touch Niao's hair. Her hair is incredibly silky. Ah, Kiska. Sorry, did I wake you? No, I was thinking of getting up soon anyway. Saying that, she begins to crawl out of bed. Nia. She screams and immediately retreats back into the bed. What's wrong? Well, I forgot I was naked. Oh right, we fell asleep like that last night. Embarrassed. Well, yes, I am embarrassed. Even after what we did yesterday. Don't remind me. I was really embarrassed. While saying that, she blushes and curls up in the bed. You're cute. Hey, Kisuka, what are you doing all of a sudden? Even now, time is passing by. Soon, the last battle me will begin. Chapter 92 Decisive Battle. Ritskan Empire, the second day of the defense of the capital, Larichmond. As expected, the Demon Lord's army began their advance after sunrise. How are you feeling, Niao? Niao and I are standing in the same position as yesterday, on top of the western fortifications. We walked here while holding hands, and we are still holding hands. I'm in perfect condition, even better than yesterday. I see. I feel relieved upon hearing Niao's response. Niao, let's survive today together. And then, maybe we can have a wedding. I said this but felt embarrassed, so I averted my gaze. I felt something softly hit my chest. When I looked, Niao was hugging me. It's a promise. Absolutely, absolutely. While hugging me, she asserted that. Her sincere determination was cute. Yeah, absolutely. I nodded and gently stroked her hair. As I did so, I felt her warmth. It's my duty to protect her. We have confirmed the Demon Lord army's advance. We heard a soldier's voice shouting. It seems like the battle has begun. The beginning was not much different from yesterday. Aerial attacks by dragons and ground offensives by a force composed of demons. As before, Niao was responsible for shooting down the dragons in the sky. Inferno Infinite Annihilation Cannon, Destroyet. Like that, Niao shot down the dragons one after another. There seemed to be more dragons today than yesterday. I've been watching several dragons fly over the walls and invade the town since earlier, thinking about such things. Niao, are you okay? Yes, I'm still okay. She said that, but you could tell from Niao's expression that fatigue was accumulating. I hope she can hold out like this. Just as I thought that. From a dragon flying high in the sky, I sensed something falling. It was clear that the falling object was aimed at Niao. Niao. While shouting that, I grabbed Niao's body and moved away. A loud thud echoed. Something had crashed down where Niao had been just a moment ago. It's you. The one who killed many of my precious subordinates. As something crashed down, he muttered this and moved closer to Niao. Die. Then, he raised a large sword. So, I used the blazing sword to block the attack. Kiska, don't worry about me. I'll take care of this. Despite trying to act tough, I couldn't help but feel anxious about whether I could handle this guy in front of me. After all, the one standing before me was. You think a loser like you can do anything to me? It was the demon Lord Zoga. Shut up, you're the loser here. Using provocation, I deftly evaded his attack. I aimed for his weak points and thrust my sword. Damn, that hurts. He said that and clicked his tongue. Huh, is it really possible? My sword is piercing the head of the demon Lord Zoga like this. And yet, I haven't sustained a single injury. Fire magic, 4th tier, Scorching Flame Fuego Trio. Suddenly, a mass of fire is released at demon Lord Zoga from behind. I immediately recognize that it's Nio's magic. HMPH, such a feeble magic won't have any effect on me. Saying that, demon Lord Zoga easily brushes aside the fireball Niao had released. How about trying a magic that can defeat a dragon on me? Well, before that, I'll have to kill you first. As demon Lord Zoga suggests, the 9th tier, Inferno Infinite Annihilation Cannon is a magic that takes a considerable amount of time to cast. Before Niao could finish casting it, demon Lord Zoga will already get close enough, and Niao will be killed. So, which one of you should I kill first? Saying that, demon Lord Zoga approaches. Both of you can die together. Saying this, demon Lord Zoga swings his large sword sideways. I try to intercept it with my sword. To protect Niao. I couldn't fully block it, and I'm forcefully blown backward with great force. Kiska-san, are you okay? Saying that, Niao rushes over with a concerned expression. Run. I said, run, now. I can't win. No matter what, I can't defeat demon Lord Zoga with my own strength. So, at the very least, all I can do is get Niao out of here. I don't want to. I can't leave behind someone I love, Kiska. Niao grips her staff and turns to face demon Lord Zoga. You'll die now. He says this as the approaching figure of demon Lord Zoga draws near. Niao, it's no good. At this rate, Niao will be killed. Barrier magic, 1st tier, Barrier Este. In an instant, a barrier is deployed to protect Niao. It was a sight I had seen before. I'll take on the demon lord. So, the rest of you, get out of here quickly. It was the Grand Sage Aglupus who was there. Thank you. Niao, let's go. On impulse, I grab Niao's hand and move away from the scene. Perhaps, with the Grand Sage Aglupus there might be a chance to somehow deal with demon Lord Zoga. With that hope in my heart. Crunch. I hear a sound of something being scattered. Wondering what that sound was, I turn around. There, I see the figure of the Grand Sage Aglupus, whose body has been torn in half. Don't let these small fry stand before me. Those were the words of demon Lord Zoga. It was his hand that had pulverized the Grand Sage Aglupus in an instant. Chapter 93 Kiss. Oh, that's not true. I felt like I might misunderstand the word, despair, as being invented for this very moment. There was a slowly spreading puddle of blood at my feet. Next to it lay the Grand Sage Aglupus. Aglupus's body had been split in two by the demon Lord Zoga's great sword. It was evident to anyone who looked that he was dead. I never imagined that the Grand Sage Aglupus would be killed so easily, and the shock was overwhelming. Next, it's your turn. Saying that, the demon Lord Zoga pointed his index finger. At the tip of the demon Lord Zoga's finger was the form of Niao. I realized that Niao was the next target of the demon Lord Zoga. In an instant, an unpleasant image came to mind. The image of Niao being killed by the demon Lord Zoga's hand. No. Unconsciously, I muttered so. No, I didn't want to lose Niao. Let's run. With that decision, I pulled Niao's hand strongly. Kiska, no. If Niao escapes, there will be no one to stop the demon lord. But Niao didn't respond to my words. Even though I pulled her hand, she remained motionless. In Niao's eyes, there was a fighting spirit. Unlike me, who had already given up, she was determined to fight until the end. That's the spirit. I like someone with a strong attitude. I could hear the laughter of the demon Lord Zoga. However, a weakling like you can't stop me. Saying that, the demon Lord Zoga tried to swing his great sword with force. Niao, I screamed. At this rate, she would be killed. Water magic, 3rd tier, nebula mist diffusion. In an instant, something like white smoke spread around Niao. In the blink of an eye, everything became invisible due to the smoke. I couldn't see Niao, who was right next to me, and I couldn't see the demon Lord Zoga either. I couldn't even see the ground beneath me. I had no idea why Niao had done such a thing. Kiska. Suddenly, she was right in front of me. Could you please lower your head a little? As instructed, I lowered my head. A soft sensation touched my lips. It took me a moment to realize that I had been kissed. In reality, the time of the kiss might have been very brief. However, it felt like we had been kissing for an eternity, as if time had stopped. Kiska, I love you. Niao, as she pulled her lips away, whispered this with a sigh. I tried to examine her expression and looked at her face. Her expression was as if she had decided something. I had no idea why she was making such an expression. I was about to say that I loved her too, and as I opened my mouth to speak, I felt a sensation in my chest. She had pushed me away. Wind magic, fourth tier, air jet injection. As she uttered those words, my body gently floated in the air and was pulled backward. Niao. Instinctively, I reached out to grab Niao's hand, and my hand touched the tip of hers. However, she didn't take my hand. Instead, she mouthed something. When I realized that she had said goodbye, she was nowhere in my field of vision. Oh, it seemed like I was flying through the air, propelled by Niao's magic. Gradually, my body descended, and I needed to make a controlled landing to minimize physical damage. I couldn't immediately understand what had happened. However, in the distance, I could see the fortress of the capital city, Larichmond. It seemed like I was in the forest outside the fortress. Oh, I see, Niao tried to save at least my life and released me into the distance. And now, she was going to face the demon lord alone. What is this? I muttered in astonishment. I had absolutely no desire for this to happen. No, I don't want it to end with Niao. I didn't want to accept that. I wanted to meet her again. So, I started running desperately. To meet Niao once more. Chapter 94. Two people standing in the way. Kiska's paw. I continued running relentlessly. I ran and ran until I was out of breath. The more I ran, the more my body screamed in protest. Still, I didn't stop running. I wanted to meet Niao again. If I were to die, the world would probably rewind. The exact point to which time would reset was uncertain, but considering the past patterns, there was a high probability it would go back to the time when Hero Eligen was still alive inside the dungeon. If that happened, my relationship with Niao would be reset. I might have the chance to build a similar relationship with Niao once again, but I felt it was more likely that it wouldn't happen. After all, when I had saved the world from its impending doom, I would have to return to the world 100 years in the future. At that point, I would be separated from her. I remembered the time with Vampire Judite. In the end, I couldn't develop a deep relationship with her either. So, it was only in this particular timeline. Niao, who said she loved me, existed only in this timeline. If that was the case, I wanted to live for Niao. I wanted to meet her again and tell her that I loved her. Even now, Niao was fighting against the demon Lord Zoga. I didn't know how long she could hold out against the demon Lord Zoga. Because of my slight delay, there was a very real possibility that she had already been killed. So, I needed to hurry. I had to go to her as fast as possible, even 1 second could make a difference. Well, I found you, buddy. You've been thrown quite far, haven't you? In front of me were two individuals. Warrior Gorgono and Holy Knight Canaria. The two traitors. Why? Surprisingly, I muttered in disbelief. Why? Well, that's because leaving you unattended is troublesome, Gorgono said. It's the Lord's will to capture you, Canaria added. That's why we've been searching for you, even among the Demon Lord's forces. Why were these guys standing in my way at a time like this? Don't get in my way. At a time when every moment counted, why were they obstructing me? Canaria, don't kill him. I understand. We just need to capture him without killing. Canaria nodded and brandished her parasitic sword puppeteer, then charged towards me. I intercepted her attack with my own sword and counterattacked. I had fought against Canaria countless times in various timelines. That experience was ingrained in my flesh and flowed through me. So, she was not an opponent I couldn't defeat. With that in mind, I fought her in a sword duel. In this opening, if I could land an attack, I might be able to defeat her. Don't get distracted. At the same time as the voice from behind, an impact hit my back. Gah! I groaned while coughing up blood. Damn, he was right behind me. Yes, there was a good chance I could win against Canaria on my own. But if Gorgono and the two of them came at me together, winning was impossible. What, you're still standing? Warrior Gorgono's sigh was audible. Don't get in my way. Huh, I have somewhere I need to go urgently. So please, don't interfere. I made a desperate plea to them. How the hell are we supposed to know your situation? We can't afford to let you go any further, Warrior Gorgono said, with a nasty grin on his face. Well, that's true. I knew all too well that you guys weren't the type to listen to reason. In that case, I'll just have to kill you here. I no longer wanted to regret my decisions. So, what I must do is clear. Gorgono's paw. HMPH, quite the arrogant one, aren't you? Holy Knight Canaria snorted irritably in response to Kiska's confidence. Don't let your guard down too much, I warned Holy Knight Canaria, who seemed complacent. Yeah, I got it, Canaria nodded. Kiska was not to be underestimated. If you underestimated him and engaged in a battle, your life could be on the line at any moment. Initially, when I first met Kiska in Katarov village, I thought of him as an ordinary young man who could be found anywhere. I had heard that he was a capable adventurer, but he emitted no aura of strength or power. So, he was just a young man who didn't require special attention. That was my initial evaluation of Kiska when I first met him. However, the parasitic scythe puppeteer, which I favored, had this to say about Kiska: he has a strange scent. The parasitic scythe puppeteer was a set of weapons created by the Chaos Master to counteract the hero. It was unbelievable, but the hero seemed to possess a mysterious ability to change causality in order to secure victory. What changing causality meant exactly was not clear to me, but I had a vague sense that having such power was tantamount to near invulnerability. The parasitic scythe puppeteer, created to counteract the invincible hero, seemed to be able to perceive the changes in causality. However, this perception was not crystal clear, it was more like a vague sense. That parasitic scythe puppeteer evaluated Kiska as dangerous. In other words, it implied that he had the power to change causality, just like the hero. This made no sense. There was only one hero in this world, Eligen. That was how the Chaos Master had arranged it. I had no clue as to why Kiska possessed the hero's power. However, the hero had the power to twist causality just by being alive. Hence, he must not be killed. That was the order of the Chaos Master. Such an absurd command. I chuckled to myself. Did the Chaos Master know how much of a hassle it was to defeat an opponent without killing them? So, just die already. As I said this, I swung the parasitic scythe puppeteer. Gah! Groaning, Kiska was sent flying backward. How many times had he been subjected to such torment already? Hey, are you still willing to fight? Why don't you give up already? Shut up. In front of us stood Kiska, battered and bruised, but still trying to get up. We had inflicted more than enough pain on him. In reality, getting back on his feet should have been near impossible, but Kisuka was still trying to fight. Gorgono, you said we shouldn't kill him, right? Yeah, that's right. In that case, leave it to me. Saying this, Holy Kint Canaria approached Kiska with her parasitic sword puppeteer in hand. Then, with a sharp sound, she thrust the tip of her sword into Kiska's right arm. Ah, that looks painful. I shuddered involuntarily. Despite that, Holy Knight Canary continued to thrust her sword into Kiska repeatedly. Die, 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 she shouted while doing so. Before we knew it, Kiska had collapsed, utterly motionless. Hey, Canaria, stop. I strongly restrained the heated-up Canaria. It would be terrible if he died. Kiska was bleeding profusely, showed no signs of movement, and it wouldn't be surprising if he was dead. Therefore, I had to quickly stop Canaria. Just as I thought this, Kiska staggered to his feet. Oh, he's still alive, I thought for a brief moment, feeling a sense of relief. Give it back. That's mine. In a hushed voice, Kiska muttered these words. The meaning of his words was completely incomprehensible. What in the world was he asking to be returned? The next moment, something happened that made absolutely no sense to me. Kiska leapt forward, with his mouth open, and at the other end of that leap was the parasitic sword puppeteer that Canaria had in her hand. It was as if he was attempting to consume the sword, which was incredibly perplexing. What was going on? What was he trying to do? Was he trying to steal the parasitic sword? Was that even possible? Oh, but I remembered that when handling the parasitic scythe puppeteer, it was necessary to put it in one's mouth and absorb it into the body. However, I had never heard of anyone being able to steal someone else's parasitic weapon. Despite that, I had a bad feeling, and I reached out to stop him. But by then, the parasitic sword puppeteer had already been incorporated into Kiska's body. Kiska's paw. I believe it was a risky gamble. Unlike 100 years from now, in this era, I hadn't yet encountered the parasitic sword puppeteer. Nevertheless, I thought this was the only way to break free from this situation. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a different dimension. An alternate space with flames scattered in the darkness. The deep world. I remember the puppeteer calling this world by that name. Did you awaken me, young one? In front of me stood the puppeteer. Chapter 95 Deep World. The puppeteer in front of me had a form where the right half was that of a girl, and the left half took on a monstrous appearance. This form was, yes, the ultimate appearance of the puppeteer who had devoured many villagers in Katarov village. Seeing that form, tears welled up in my eyes without warning. I had a flashback. The memory of her committing suicide. Did you awaken me, young one? Yeah, it was me. I see. So, what business brings you to a place like this? I want you to lend me your power. I straightforwardly expressed my wish. If I could borrow the puppeteer's power, I might be able to overcome the challenges right in front of me. Ahahaha, you say quite interesting things, don't you? The puppeteer opened her mouth and openly mocked. Listen, my master is a woman named Canaria. At first glance, she might seem like a dull woman, but if you get to know her, she's quite an interesting character. I've actually taken a liking to her, and that's why I'm lending her my power. But from the looks of it, you seem like an enemy of Canaria. Honestly, it feels a bit awkward to betray my own master, right? Well, that's true. I didn't think the puppeteer was the type to be particularly loyal, but she wasn't the kind to betray without a reason. However, that didn't mean I was ready to give up. After all, I knew the puppeteer better than anyone else. Hey, isn't your dream to become human? I remember. She frequently talked about wanting to become human. How do you know that? I don't recall ever saying that. No, you did. You're quite good at telling blatant lies. No, you did. After all, in the future, 100 years from now, I'm your master. What are you talking about? The puppeteer furrowed her brow. Well, it's only natural to be suspicious when something like this is suddenly said to you. So, are you claiming you came from the future? Yes, that's right. If you're just trying to tease me, it's frankly unpleasant. Or do you have some kind of evidence? Even if I had evidence, would you, as a puppeteer, know it? For example, does this form ring any bells? I pointed at her while saying so. When I first met her in the deep world, her form was more blurry and less well defined. But now, despite half of her being monstrous, she looked remarkably close to human. I didn't really understand the reason behind it, but maybe the puppeteer would. Certainly, I've observed some highly inexplicable phenomena in the timeline. I've also speculated that this form may be related to those events. But are you claiming you're the cause? No, I'm not the cause. Presumably, the cause the puppeteer was referring to was Agatha. But there's someone who comes to mind as the cause. I see. Well, I understand your point. Do you believe me? I don't believe you wholeheartedly. However, I might leave room for consideration. Then, will you lend me your power? That conclusion is quite naive. Even if you really were my master in the future, I don't think there's any obligation for me to follow you now. The puppeteer said this with a smirk. Indeed, there was some truth to the puppeteer's words. Just because I was the master in the future didn't mean that it was a reason for her to help me now. If you understand, then just disappear from here. The puppeteer said so, pushing me away. Oh, it's not working. I didn't have any more convincing arguments to persuade her. So, further persuasion seemed unlikely. I had hoped to overcome this situation by borrowing the puppeteer's power, but that possibility had been shut down. Quote ellipsis question mark quote. Why are you crying? I only noticed when she pointed it out. It seemed like I had been crying. Why was I crying? Oh, I see. Sorry for not being able to turn you into a human. I could still remember it vividly. The moment she claimed to be different and took her own life. I wonder what I could have done to save her. I've been thinking about that day and regretting it every day. I always seem to fail. And even though I can't do anything on my own, you were always there for me, helping me get this far. But in the end, I couldn't fulfill your wish. Quote ellipsis question mark quote. And not only that, I had decided to turn you into a human, yet the result is like this. I got too distracted by other things and couldn't do anything for you. But someday, it might take time, but I promise I will turn you into a human. Please wait until then. I beg you. I thought I had said everything I wanted to say. I couldn't borrow the puppeteer's power, but I could convey my feelings to her. It may not be a satisfying outcome, but it was the best I could do. So, how can I get out of this other world? As I thought it was about time to leave, I asked. In hindsight, I had stepped into this deep world many times, but I didn't know how to get out of it. Oh, all right, I got it. Suddenly, the puppeteer raised her voice. I get it, I get it. You just need to help me, don't you? Thinking about it, I wasn't that fond of Canaria, and helping you could be more beneficial. So, I'll help you. Huh, I was puzzled as I didn't quite understand what the puppeteer was saying. So, I said I would lend you my power. Is that really okay? I said it, didn't I? How many times do you want me to repeat myself? Thank you. What's up with that gratitude? I mean, when I said I'd lend my power, I'd like you to, cry tears of joy or something. Oh, right. Due to the lack of a sense of reality, I expressed my gratitude with a sense of confusion, which might have come across as indifferent. I see. The puppeteer is going to lend me her power. Thinking about it, it makes me really happy. Whoa, thank you. I really do like you. Hey, wait. Just because of that doesn't mean you can get carried away and hug me. She said and punched me lightly. Yeah, I might have gotten a bit carried away. Thanks. Thank you for believing in my story. It's not like I believed your story. Really. But why? It's just that, you as my master doesn't seem so bad to me. I could see her face as she looked embarrassed. But in exchange for helping, make sure to keep your promise. All right, I understand. I will definitely turn you into a human. It's a promise. The moment the puppeteer nodded, light pierced through the darkness of the deep world. And just like a shell breaking, the scene in front of me shattered into pieces. When I came to my senses, I was in the outside world. Hey, why are you holding that? In front of me, the Holy Knight Canaria seemed bewildered. Oh, right. She actually kept her promise. In my hand, I was holding the parasitic sword puppeteer. My apologies, Canaria. The puppeteer now belongs to me. Yes, from here on, it's my time to counterattack. Chapter 96 Stiletto Pulse Blade. Hey, Gorgono, what's going on here? Is it possible for someone to steal a parasitic sword like this? Holy Knight Canaria was going insane. No, something so ridiculous. Even Warrior Gorgono was shaken. They don't know, so it's understandable that they'd react like this. There's a special bond between me and the puppeteer, even if she doesn't remember it. Even if those memories aren't in the puppeteer's mind, they should be etched in her soul. Puppeteer, let's go all out from the beginning. Even if you say that, I don't have a grasp on Master's ability. The puppeteer spoke in my mind with a lackadaisical tone. Then do as I say. Sure thing. It was a lackluster response, but that's fine. Pulsating great sword. In an instant, the puppeteer expanded and transformed into a massive sword larger than my own height. My intuition was correct. The skills I acquired with the puppeteer before haven't been reset. With this, I can fight at full power. Wait, Master. Do you, by any chance, have a skill that applies a debuff when wielding a greatsword? Oh, come to think of it, I do have the Thief's skill. The Thief's skill and a greatsword were an extremely ill-suited combination. As a result, the pulsating greatsword felt unnaturally heavy compared to the time when I didn't possess the thief's skill. However, even considering this drawback, the pulsating greatsword was a powerful weapon, so I thought there wouldn't be any issues. But if that's the case, I'll change your equipment to something suitable for a thief. What? Can you really do that? Hee, don't you know? I'm quite talented. Oh, I'm well aware. Hee, I see. In that case, let's unveil the new weapon. In an instant, the name of the new weapon by the puppeteer came to mind, so I spoke it aloud. Stiletto Pulse Blade. Immediately, the pulsating greatsword transformed into another weapon. It was designed for a thief, with a shorter blade. Like the pulsating greatsword, it was black in color, but the hilt had a jaw-like structure that could envelop my right hand, securing it to the weapon. Thanks to this, my right arm and the blade became one, requiring no grip. Do you need a lecture for the new weapon? It would be helpful if you could explain. Oh, but too bad, Master. It seems your opponent isn't willing to wait. Indeed, Holy Knight Canaria was brandishing a different backup sword and appeared ready to strike. Give it back. It's mine, she shouted as she swung her sword high. In that case, I'll have to learn while fighting, I said as I caught her sword with the stiletto pulse blade. However, Canaria had the upper hand in strength, and it felt like she might crush me. In an instant, multiple arms sprouted from the stiletto pulse blade, and grabbed onto Holy Knight Canaria's sword. I see, this must be the ability of the stiletto pulse blade. It was quite similar to the inherent ability of the pulsating greatsword, autonomous function. The arms that emerged from the stiletto pulse blade continued to pull me with great force. My body, pulled by these arms, floated in the air and rotated vertically due to the centrifugal force created by the rotation. Thanks to this force, my attack became significantly more powerful. Puppet sword technique, Grand Wheel Slash. Holy Knight Canaria's armor, which she was wearing, split in two, and she crumbled to the ground. Why, how can you control the puppeteer better than I can? She muttered in frustration. Sorry, the puppeteer belongs to me. As I said that, her body went limp, and she lost consciousness. That's impressive, Master. I never expected you to control me so skillfully. I told you before. I know you quite well. Haha, I'll believe your story about coming from the future a little more now. You mean you didn't believe me at all until now? As we exchanged this banter, I turned my attention to the other adversary. Master, that one is rather strong. Yeah, I know. I felt that fact painfully. After all, I've been killed by that person multiple times. Man, this is really surprising. To be honest, even now, I have no idea what's going on. Saying this, Warrior Gorgono looked at me with suspicion. That's why I don't like your kind. While we're struggling to survive, you people can easily create miracles and trample on us like insects. He muttered with resentment in his eyes. Shut up. Don't act like the victim. I've suffered plenty because of you. Oh, is that so? So, if you want to give up and run away now, I could let you go, you know. Don't get cocky, you brat. Saying that, Warrior Gorgono gave an order to the parasitic scythe puppeteer. Resilient 3 Jada Z Dahaka. In an instant, the scythe puppeteer transformed into a grotesque creature with 3 heads. Master, what should I do? Kill that one right now. Kill. Does that mean I can eat it? Yeah, that's right. I can eat it. Yay. I was feeling a bit hungry, you know. I'm really curious about how it tastes. The resilient 3 Jada Z Dahaka advanced toward me while chatting, preparing to eat me. It was enormous, covered in tough scales and equipped with powerful fangs. Master, I feel like I might wet myself from fear. At a time like this, my puppeteer said something completely irrelevant. You don't even have organs to excrete urine. Since you're a girl, use more refined language. Oh, you're quite unusual, Master, to refer to me as a girl. Normally, that's just creepy. Creepy or not, I know you're a cute girl. Master, I don't think you should casually say things like that. It's kind of gross. No, I'm just stating the fact. Ah, I don't want to hear it. You're probably saying similar things to other girls, right? In the next moment, one of the jaws of the resilient 3 Jada Z Dahaka charged forward. Watch out! My puppeteer shouted as I rolled to evade the attack. If I had reacted even a little slower, I would have been killed by now. They avoided it. What are you doing, you loser? So clumsy. So clumsy. The resilient three-jawed Azidahaka continued to have relaxed conversations during the battle. Master, you shouldn't be distracted. If you think that, don't engage in conversation with me. Well, what should I do then? With such conversations ongoing, I kept evading the consecutive attacks launched by the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka. At this rate, I could manage to dodge any attack by combining my thief skill with the ability autonomous function from Stiletto Pulse Blade. Master, I can't help but think that even if you keep evading, it won't lead to victory. I know that, all right. In that case, why not try to attack? I didn't follow my puppeteer's advice, but it was true that constantly dodging wouldn't get me anywhere. I waited for an opening and attacked the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka with my blade. Master, it's having no effect at all. Even though I had struck with all my might, not a single scratch appeared. Just to be sure, I attempted to strike with Stiletto Pulse Blade repeatedly. However, no matter how many times I struck, the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka remained unscathed. Hey, puppeteer, what should I do? As if I'd know the solution. Damn, you're useless when it matters. Oh, so you say that kind of thing. If you're going to say that, maybe I should stop helping you. Maybe I should. Wait, I'm sorry. I'll apologize. Please don't abandon me, please. Well, it can't be helped now. While conversing, I continued to dodge attacks from the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka coming from all directions, running about frantically. In the end, even after conversing with my puppeteer, no breakthrough seemed to come to mind in this situation. Hey, scythe puppeteer, how long are you going to hesitate? Kill already. Well, it keeps moving around so nimbly. I don't want to hear excuses. All right, master, I understand. Okay, just don't get angry. If you get angry, happiness will slip away. So goes the casual conversation between the warrior Gorgono and scythe puppeteer in the midst of battle. Hearing such conversation, I realized something that might break through this situation. Sword puppeteer, why didn't I notice this sooner? What's wrong, master? You're speaking quite dramatically. If our attacks don't work, why don't we target the owner? Oh, yes, indeed. When you put it that way, it's a very obvious idea. If attacks don't work on the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka, then I should aim for the warrior Gorgono, who controls it. Yeah, it's a rather obvious idea. The distance to Gorgono's location from here is considerable, and the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka stands as an obstacle. Targeting Gorgono seems like it might be more challenging than expected. Alright then, here we go. Sword puppeteer's turn. I'm serious now. With those words, I sprinted at full speed. I continued to dodge the relentless attacks from the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka, coming one after another from above. Just as I was about to reach them, the powerful jaws of the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka charged at me with force. I narrowly avoided them and then thrust the Stiletto Pulse Blade into the side of the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka. I didn't pierce it for the sake of attacking. I stabbed it to use the ability, autonomous function, to push myself out with more strength. Apparently, the intention was conveyed as the Stiletto Pulse Blade sprouted numerous arms and firmly pushed me away by gripping the side of the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka. As a result, my body was shot forward in a straight line towards the location where Gorgono was waiting. Damn it! Don't underestimate me. Gorgono awaited me, charging with an axe in hand. I calmly received his attack with the Stiletto Pulse Blade's edge and, to deflect his power, I made a vertical spin right there, and then, using that rotation, I struck at him. The sound of splattering blood echoed. It was the sound produced by my attack on the warrior Gorgono. I'm one step ahead. Damn it! Gorgono lay exhausted on the ground, glaring at me with resentment. It seemed he had no more fighting spirit left, and there was no sign of him getting up. In sync with Gorgono's condition, the resilient three-jawed Azidahaka ceased its movements and returned to its original role as a parasitic scythe puppeteer. Finally, did I win? All that comes to mind is the bitter memories of the suffering I endured at the hands of the warrior Gorgono. I've finally managed to defeat him. Thinking about it, it's quite a profound feeling. Can I accept something like this? Why do I have to lose to a brat like you? We were working so hard, just a bit more, and our plan was about to succeed. And yet, why do I have to lose to an adventurer who's not even a hero? This is ridiculous. Can I accept this? Warrior Gorgono exclaimed. It seemed he still had the energy to shout, but he was quite furious. It was like the howling of a defeated dog. You can't accept it, huh? In that case, I guess I'll have to show you my trump card that I haven't revealed yet. Don't you think so, puppeteer? What's the trump card? I don't have a clue. It's this. Ruthless Predator. The third form of the parasitic sword puppeteer, the Ruthless Predator. What is this? Indeed, even Gorgono couldn't hide his surprise at the Ruthless Predator, and was left speechless. Bon appetit. Then, the Ruthless Predator happily extended its tentacles and slowly moved Gorgono's body towards its mouth. Saint, stop it. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Please stop. It was too late for regrets now. With a gruesome crunch, the Ruthless Predator mercilessly devoured Gorgono's body. Hey, Master. Can I eat this too? Yeah, sure. In addition, the unconscious Holy Night Canaria was also consumed. By having the two of them, I hoped the puppeteer would become even more human-like, but there didn't seem to be any significant change. For now, I had managed to defeat Warrior Gorgono and Holy Night Canaria, but my battle was not over yet. Puppeteer, let's hurry. I wanted to believe that Niao was still fighting against Demon Lord Zoga. So, I needed to rush to her side as soon as possible. Chapter 97 Fierce Battle. The invasion of the capital city, Larichmond, by the Demon Lord's army was still relentless. Sounds of sword slashes and screams could be heard here and there. The city walls were cracking, on the verge of collapsing at any moment. Perhaps, Niao was supposed to be fighting the Demon Lord Zoga on top of the city walls. The worst-case scenario, she might have already died. No, let's not dwell on the worst-case scenario. For now, let's focus on reaching Niao as quickly as possible. With that determination, I ran. Ha, 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 ha. With each breath, her shoulders rose and fell. The sage Niao was already exhausted. Quit your incessant dodging and fight fair and square. You're getting on my nerves. Taunted the Demon Lord Zoga. Since a while ago, Niao had been solely buying time. She used the nebula mist diffusion to obscure his vision and the air jet injection for swift movement, continually evading the attacks unleashed by the Demon Lord Zoga. One should never try to face the attacks of the Demon Lord Zoga head-on. Probably, Grand Sage Aglupus underestimated the Demon Lord Zoga's attacking power. Grand Sage Aglupus must have thought like this: there's no way my barrier will be broken, and thus used his barrier to protect himself from the Demon Lord Zoga's attacks. As a result, the barrier was torn apart too easily and went on to tear Grand Sage Aglupus's body. The barrier cast by Grand Sage Aglupus was known to have the highest hardness among numerous mages' barriers. The fact that the Demon Lord Zoga easily shattered it showed how exceptional his attacking power was. Therefore, under no circumstances should Niao attempt to withstand the Demon Lord Zoga's attacks. However, Niao lacked the technique to dodge attacks, and she also lacked the physical abilities required to move swiftly. As a result, the solution that had been devised was as previously described: obscuring vision with the nebula mist diffusion and swift movement using the air jet injection. By the way, when Hero Eligen was killed, Niao determined that she couldn't defeat the warrior Gorgono and the Holy Night Canaria, so she promptly used the nebula mist diffusion and the air jet injection to escape, while holding Kiska's body. Hey, if you keep running away, we'll never settle this, you know. The Demon Lord Zoga taunted once again. Niao chuckled to herself. It's foolish, after all. Due to the nebula mist diffusion, Niao couldn't grasp her surroundings. However, if the Demon Lord Zoga made a sound, Niao could pinpoint her opponent's location. Ice Magic, 4th tier, Grand Chillwave Olafrio. Chant omitted. With Ice Magic, up to the 4th tier, you can activate magic without the need for an incantation. Moreover, due to the nebula mist diffusion, with moisture in the air, using Grand Chillwave Olafrio would result in twice the power than usual. As intended, a massive ice formation, large enough to cover the field of vision, appeared. The ice enveloped the demon Lord Zoga. Crack! The sound of the ice being slashed was heard. This can't be true. Niao stood in awe of the sight before her. Could it really be that a single swing could cleave a massive block of ice in half? You were right there. The voice of the demon Lord Zoga reached Niao's ears. This is bad. Niao panicked. When a magic is cast, predicting the magician's position becomes quite possible by determining the point of origin of the spell. She needed to prepare for defense immediately. Barrier magic, 3rd tier, triple barrier Trinity Este. In an instant, she layered 3 barriers. However, the demon Lord Zoga would easily cut through even this. Wind magic, 4th tier, air jet injection. Therefore, using the barrier as a decoy, Niao tried to move as far away from the current location as possible. As expected, clang. The sound of the barrier being cut through was heard. Damn it, you keep evading. I've had enough of this. The irritated voice of the demon Lord Zoga could be heard. Hey, how about fighting fairly for once? The demon Lord Zoga called out. In contrast, Niao remained calm. She believed that if she patiently continued to evade the opponent's attacks, an opportunity to win would eventually arise. Ah, I've had enough. If you're in the mood for it, I have a trick up my sleeve too. Suddenly, the demon Lord Zoga muttered something with meaning. Niao couldn't help but wonder what he had in mind. I didn't really want to involve my subordinates, but oh well. A sense of unease washed over Niao. Could the demon Lord Zoga be planning something extraordinary? With that judgment in mind, Niao tried to keep as much distance as possible. Unholy sword technique, grand explosive shatterfall. The demon Lord Zoga raised his large sword high and then brought it down directly. Instantly, a significant crack appeared in the ground. The crack gradually widened. The location where the demon Lord Zoga and the sage Niao stood was on top of the city walls. A powerful blow from the demon Lord Zoga struck the city wall. To cut to the chase, the city wall collapsed due to the demon Lord Zoga's attack. Niao and nearby soldiers of the Ritskin Empire were all caught in the crumbling of the city wall. This is bad, Niao shouted. At this rate, they would fall and be crushed by the rubble. Wind magic, 2nd tier, Gust Rafaga. In a quick decision, she summoned wind to clear the rubble and created a cushion of air beneath them to land safely. Hey, you were right there. She looked in the direction of the voice. The demon Lord Zoga stood with an eerie smile. The city wall had collapsed, and their positions had shifted. The nebula mist diffusion had been forcibly drawn down to a location where the dense fog no longer existed. Here I come. The demon Lord Zoga charged. Niao felt anxious. Using the nebula mist diffusion at this point wouldn't help her hide anymore. So, instead, barrier magic, 3rd tier, triple barrier Trinity Este. Niao generated a barrier to protect herself. HMPH, even if you put up such a barrier, you must know it's futile. There was no need for him to remind her. But at that moment, it was all she could do. Please, Niao whispered, almost in prayer. With a mocking smile, the demon Lord Zoga raised his greatsword to shatter the barrier. Clang! The sound was not that of the barrier breaking. For a brief moment, the demon Lord Zoga couldn't grasp what had happened and let out a dumbfounded sound. It turned out that the one shattered was his own greatsword. If you thought I was running around aimlessly, you're sorely mistaken. Niao said, smiling slyly. First, when I began our battle, I secretly cast a magic called Fragility Fray on your greatsword. Yes, when she started battling the demon Lord Zoga, she secretly cast a spell called Fragility Fray on his greatsword to make it more fragile. For a typical weapon, the moment Fragility Fray is used, it would break. But, as expected of a greatsword wielded by a demon lord, it hadn't broken until now. Therefore, Niao needed to keep evading his attacks until it finally shattered. However, if it had taken a little longer to break, she would have likely suffered a fatal blow, so she considers herself extremely fortunate. With this, your attacking power has significantly weakened. Therefore, it's Niao's victory. You talk too much. Saying that, the demon lord attempted to strike her with his fist instead of his Greatsword. However, there was the triple barrier Trinity Este that Niao had set up. No matter how much of a demon lord he was, breaking a barrier with his fist was impossible. This time, it was Niao's turn to be astonished. After all, right before her eyes, the triple barrier Trinity Este was shattered by the demon lord's fist, so easily. The greatsword breaking was surprising. But that's all it was. I don't need a greatsword to deal with the likes of you. Saying this, the demon lord Zoga struck Niao's abdomen with his fist. Niao let out a low groan. In the next moment, her body was slammed into the city wall. But the demon lord Zoga wasn't done with Niao. In an instant, he moved to her location and delivered a spinning kick. Once again, Niao groaned in agony as she rolled across the ground with force. Intense pain coursed through her entire body. The pain was so overwhelming it felt like she might lose her sanity. This is bad, I need to get up quickly before I get attacked again. With that thought, Niao tried to muster strength, but her efforts were in vain. It was clear that the bones in her legs were severely fractured. Realizing the urgency of the situation, she hastily began constructing a spell. Healing magic, first tier, cure heal. Hey, what are you doing? Niao looked up and saw the demon lord Zoga standing right in front of her. Niao let out a feeble scream. The thought of enduring further torment filled her with terror. Die. The demon lord Zoga raised his foot above the fallen Niao and brought it down forcefully. The ground cracked and caved in from the impact. Her body arched significantly from the shock. Niao's frail body was already severely battered and bruised all over. Hey, are you alive? As the demon lord Zoga called out, he roughly grabbed Niao's head while she lay on the ground. Niao didn't seem to have any strength left to resist, and she showed no reaction. For the demon lord Zoga, this was boring. So, he tightened his grip on Niao's head, as if intending to crush it. In an instant, an excruciating pain surged through Niao's head. Unable to bear the pain, Niao let out a scream. Ha ha ha. The demon lord Zoga found it unbearably amusing. But after some time, Niao stopped making any sound, becoming like a lifeless doll. Is she dead? The thought crossed the demon lord Zoga's mind. If she was dead, there was no further need. So, he roughly threw Niao's body aside. Niao's body tumbled along the ground. Now, the troublesome sage Niao had been dealt with. With the city wall destroyed, the demon lord's army continued to advance into the town one after another. It was only a matter of time before the town would fall. Already, the demon lord Zoga was confident in his victory. Not yet. Demon lord Zoga suddenly turned around. There, struggling to rise, was Niao. However, even standing seemed difficult for her. She used her staff as a makeshift cane, making a great effort to get on her feet. It was evident that she was battered all over. Blood was oozing from various wounds, and her skeletal structure appeared distorted in places, possibly indicating broken bones. I'm not defeated yet, she declared. However, there was no sense of threat. Niao might be able to unleash powerful magic, but at this distance, the demon lord Zoga knew he could end her life much quicker. So, the demon lord Zoga slowly walked toward Niao. It seemed that Niao's vision had become compromised, as she made no sign of noticing the demon lord Zoga's presence, despite his close proximity. Die. Without hesitation, the demon lord Zoga struck with full force, intending to deliver the final blow. His fist swung through thin air. Despite having aimed a full-force punch where Niao should have been, he felt nothing. I made it in time, a voice said. Standing at a distance, Kiska was supporting Niao's body. Chapter 98. Once again. Niao's head felt hazy. On top of that, her entire body throbbed with pain. The intense pain seemed to have dulled her bodily sensations. Furthermore, her vision was blurred, and she couldn't see in front of her properly. But even in this condition, she couldn't afford not to fight. The words haunted her like a curse. If she gave up now, many people would die, and she bore the blame for the current situation. If only she had been able to protect the hero Eligen at that time, things wouldn't have come to this. She believed it was her duty to fight in this situation. With these thoughts in mind, Niao made an effort to stand up. Her legs wouldn't cooperate as they should, but she forced herself to use her staff as a crutch. If she could just stand, she believed she could continue to fight. So she held on to that belief. Die. Suddenly, a voice was heard. It seemed that the demon Lord Zoga was right in front of her. Despite his close proximity, Niao was too drained to notice his presence. Ah, is this the end for me? She realized she didn't have the strength to resist anymore, and her death was inevitable. In an instant, various memories flashed through her mind. Her parents, her childhood spent in the elven forest, her time at the magic school, her adventures as an adventurer, and her battles alongside her friends against the demon lord. However, more vividly than anything else, she remembered Kiska. Looking back, the time she spent with Kiska felt incredibly short in her life. Without a doubt, without Kiska, Niao's spirit would have broken long ago, rendering her unable to fight. So, she thought that the reason she was still standing was all thanks to Kiska. Kiska, thank you from the bottom of my heart. In her heart, she expressed her gratitude. Meeting Kiska, Niao encountered so much love. Without knowing the feeling of love, her life would have been much more gray. Thanks to meeting Kiska, she could die in happiness. Yet, if she were to be a little selfish, she wished she could see him just one more time. I made it in time. She heard a voice. For Niao, it was an unbelievable turn of events because he shouldn't be here. She had specifically ordered Kiska to leave the battlefield. Her wish was for him to live. So why had he returned to the battlefield, especially to where the demon lord was present? Why? That's why Niao asked. Because I want to be by the side of the person I love. Kiska declared it with utmost clarity. In that moment, Niao realized it all too well. Indeed, she was hopelessly in love with this person. I'm glad, really glad. Niao is still alive. Even though she's already battered and bruised to the point where it wouldn't be strange for her to die at any moment, just being alive is more than enough. Who are you? The demon Lord Zoga looked at me and asked. We should have already met several times, yet he reacted as though he didn't remember me, as if I wasn't worth remembering. It's Kiska. I'd appreciate it if you could at least remember my name. I see. But sorry, I have a policy of not bothering to remember the names of small fry. I see. I chuckled. I was full of thoughts about Niao, and I had come before the demon lord without thinking, but did I really have the strength to take him on? Master, may I offer some advice? What's up, puppeteer? You can't beat him, so I recommend giving up. I see. I had thought the same, but hearing it from the puppeteer again made me reluctantly acknowledge it. Niao, may I make one request? Yes, what is it? I asked Niao to perform a certain spell. Understood. Niao agreed and grasped her rod, then chanted. Water magic, 3rd tier, nebula mist diffusion. Instantly, a dense fog began to emanate from Niao. Doing such a troublesome thing. You damn. The demon Lord Zoga must have thought that he didn't want to be hidden by the fog again, and he charged forward cursing. There was a certain time lag until the fog completely covered everything. So I had to endure his initial attack, just this once. I used parasitic sword puppeteer to manage to deflect the demon Lord Zoga's fist. However, the demon Lord Zoga's fist was extremely heavy, and it felt like I might get crushed under its weight. Therefore, I didn't just block his attack, I concentrated all my strength on deflecting it. Somehow, I managed to deflect the attack. Now, all that was left was to hide myself within the fog. Already, with the city walls breached, the demon lord's army had advanced into the town. Moreover, with no one to stop the dragon's aerial attacks during my confrontation with demon lord Zoga, the dragons had free reign from the skies. Hence, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the capital, Larichmond, had already fallen. Resistance at this point wouldn't change that reality. So all I could do was carry Niao and make a retreat. Damn it. Demon Lord Zoga howled in frustration. He scanned through the fog, but both Kiska and Niao were nowhere to be found. They likely have already managed to escape, thought Demon Lord Zoga. Kiska didn't matter to him, but letting Niao get away like this would likely cause more trouble. However, escaping from here would be difficult. Orders. Gather all available dragons and demons. Find that elven magician who escaped. There were still plenty of forces here that could fight. It was only a matter of time until they would be found. Regardless, if we've come this far, we should be safe. Having successfully made it to the forest, I took a seat, feeling thoroughly drained. However, I was more concerned about Niao than myself. I spoke as I leaned over her, as she lay on the ground, looking heavily wounded. "Hey, Niao, are you okay?" But the moment she started to speak, it seemed she was about to express some discouragement. "Kiska, Niao might be beyond saving now." Niao's words left me quite stiff. I couldn't see any signs that she had used healing magic, she was in such a terrible condition. With injuries this severe, it might be challenging for Niao's magic to heal. If she had a bit more magical power left, she might have fully recovered, but with her current state, she has very little magical power left. In our escape from Demon Lord Zoga, I had requested Niao to use the Nebula Mist Diffusion, and I wondered if it had depleted her magical energy. No, it doesn't matter. The Nebula Mist Diffusion is a magic that doesn't consume much magical energy, so whether I used that magic or not, this outcome was inevitable. Saying this, Niao smiled. I couldn't help but wonder how she could smile at a time like this. Probably, Demon Lord Zoga will use his subordinates to find us immediately. I tried to say something silly, but the words stuck in my throat. In the distance, I could hear the roars of dragons. They seemed to be wandering through the forest, searching for us. I don't have enough magical energy left to fight properly. Niao, who can't even walk, will be nothing but a burden. So, you should leave Niao behind and escape on your own. I believe the Demon Lord's target is Niao alone, so if it's just you, Kiska, they might let you go. No, I can't. I couldn't fathom leaving Niao behind. No, I can't. I don't want to leave Niao behind. As I spoke, tears fell from my eyes and splashed onto the ground. Please don't be so stubborn. Saying that, Niao had a troubled expression on her face. No, I can't, I want to be with Niao. Just saying that is enough. Saying so, she reached out and touched my cheek. Inevitably, I held onto her hand. Niao's hand was very cold. The chill made it feel like Niao's time was running out, and it brought more tears to my eyes. Can I say something a bit far-fetched? I wondered what she was going to say in a moment like this, but I listened. Perhaps, Kiska, do you happen to have a way to turn this dire situation around? I had a feeling she was referring to my skill, save and reset. Why would you say something like that? Well, it's just a hunch, but I thought there might be something you're hiding. I see. It seemed that Niao had seen right through me. I have the power of a hero. With that power, I can make everything as if it never happened. Everything, including the death of Hero Eligen. I can't say for sure, but probably. Saying that, Niao pursed her lips as if deep in thought. You don't believe me. No, it's not that. It's just that it was beyond my imagination, so I was quite surprised. But I don't want to lose the relationship we've built. I really didn't want that. We had finally become more than just lovers, and losing all of that was something I couldn't bear. Kiska, I love you. Hearing those words suddenly made my heart skip a beat. I had heard it many times, but it still made me feel shy. I love you too, Niao. In response, Niao looked at me and said, give me a kiss. I agreed because Niao was too exhausted to even sit up. I lifted her head and positioned her face higher, then kissed her lips. Her lips were small and plump. One more time. Following her request, I kissed her again as she had asked. One more time. Once again, I kissed her. One more time. She repeated this several times, demanding more kisses. I obediently continued to kiss her. And after the umpteenth kiss, one more time, or as many times as it takes, Niao vows to fall in love with Kiska. Hearing those words, my heart swelled with warmth. I didn't know how many more time loops awaited us. Perhaps we would go through an unimaginable number of them. But each time, she would tell me that she loved me. But as I started to speak, Niao suddenly went limp, as if all the strength had drained from her body. Hey, Niao. I shook her, but she remained unresponsive, as if she had fallen into a deep slumber. No. I kept shaking her body repeatedly, but she showed no response. Oh, no. I didn't want to admit it. I wanted to confirm it multiple times, prove that it was different. But no matter how many times I checked, the fact remained unchanged. Niao had already stopped breathing. How much time had passed while I mourned there? Holding Niao's lifeless body, I couldn't move from the spot. Is this where you've been? A voice spoke. I turned to the source of the voice and saw Demon Lord Zoga standing there. Furthermore, there were numerous demons and dragons surrounding us. We were already encircled, and there was no way to escape. At this point, I didn't care anymore. If they wanted to kill us, they could do as they pleased. Hey, hand over that woman, Demon Lord Zoga demanded. That was out of the question. I couldn't let them take Niao. So, I swatted away Zoga's hand. Fine, whatever. I'm going to kill you anyway, he muttered. As he said that, he gripped his sword. The sword was different in appearance from the massive sword he used to carry. Demon Lord Zoga swung the sword down without any hesitation. The spattering blood stained my vision red. All that blood was mine. Chapter 99 Elusive. When I opened my eyes, I was greeted by a sight I had seen many times before, an unremarkable dungeon. The fact that I was here meant that, just like the previous deaths, I had reset back to the moment we had been teleported into the Katarov dungeon alongside the hero and the others. Starting from scratch again, I couldn't help but feel disheartened. All the progress in my relationship with Niao had been reset. Her feelings toward me were probably close to zero at this point. However, considering that I had managed to go back to the time just before the hero Eligen's death in the previous timeline, there might still be hope. I had painfully learned that without hero Eligen's power, defeating the Demon Lord Zoga would be a nearly impossible task in the previous timeline. The Grand Sage Aglupus and the Sage Niao had both been powerless against Demon Lord Zoga. My first priority would be to ensure that hero Eligen didn't die. With the vast amount of experience I had gained from repeating this scenario countless times, I believed that I could use that knowledge to prevent the world from meeting its catastrophic fate. With this determination, I took a step forward. In that instant, an unexpected event occurred. It was something that had never happened in any of the previous time loops, and it took me by a great surprise. However, at the same time, I remembered something: Agatha, a girl who had always been elusive and unpredictable. Ah, finally, I can interfere with the events, she muttered in a languid tone. Suddenly, Agatha appeared before me. I had been searching for her, so I felt a surge of joy. However, I quickly remembered that her existence was dangerous and reminded myself to be cautious. Which one? I didn't fully understand the details, but it seemed there were two versions of Agatha. One with a gentle personality, and the other, the one in front of me, who was always filled with intense emotions. I had taken to calling the latter one, Black Agatha, for my own reference. So, why are you here? It's quite unusual, isn't it? I asked. As I spoke, Agatha observed me with a sharp gaze. Her gaze made it clear that the girl in front of me was indeed the fiery Black Agatha. I smell a scent of an unfamiliar woman. It was evident that she was referring to Niao. Did you create a new woman again? She said, wearing a disturbing grin. Well, I began, but under the intimidation of Black Agatha, I couldn't come up with any words. I was afraid that whatever I said might anger her. For now, should I just kill you? Her lips formed a smile, but her eyes were devoid of any mirth. Oh, it seemed like I was going to die once again. Just as I thought that, she thrust her sword into me with a shing. Game over. Would you like to retry? Yes, no, yes has been selected. You will continue from the saved point.